If you stop at a stop sign and then pull in front of a car and get hit, you are in fact the at-fault driver. This has been a public service announcement from Columbus Police Body Camera. Enjoy the video. What's up, man? Were you driving?
Coming down this road.
Okay.
She didn't stop at the stop sign. She hit me.
Coming from this direction?
No, she turned around.
So she was coming from that direction?
154.
Okay. Do you have insurance on your
Yep.
Do you have it ready?
I have my,
Do you have insurance with you?
what?
Is your insurance stuff with you?
It should be in my truck.
Go ahead and find it. I'll be back in a moment.
Okay.
They did call a medic. It takes them a moment.
Right.
What's going on?
Huh? We're coming. Yes. Bring my purse, please, so I can show him my insurance and driver's license. Thank you. Okay. No, we're coming through the stop sign. We're already there. He's right there. He sees us coming, but he won't stop. He ain't do none of that. He just went ahead and hit me.
Why would he stop?
Huh?
Why would he stop?
No, he wouldn't have. But if you're right there and you already see me right here, why not stop? If you're right there and you see me, because this is where we are, enough to where I'm turning with him.
You pulled out in front of him.
No, I didn't. But of course y'all gonna say that because any car that goes.
Did you have a stop sign?
Yes.
Okay. It's your job to make sure that there's no other cars in the intersection before you enter.
Didn't I stopped at the stop sign.
Well, you can't go until you're not going to get hit again.
Oh, well, I can't go if he's still listening. He came. And he was speeding.
He had the right of way.
I ain't trying to hear that shit.
This car registered to you?
Get wherever you want it to.
Does this car register to you?
Yeah, it's mine.
What's your name?
License and insurance.
What's your name?
Christina with the K. Shoot, I ain't trying to hear that shit.
That's your problem.
What's name?
What's your phone number,
I
Christina?
don't got one.
All right.
Now, just do whatever you want to do.
Hi. Someone bumped their head on the other side of the car.
This needs to checked out. Is this the only one that
Yeah, as
checked out?
far as I know.
Is this one over here?
So you don't have your insurance with you?
It's on the way.
Okay.
I heard him bringing my stuff.
Okay.
He did it. As always.
Do you happen to have an ID on you, hon?
Yes, the car, and he kept going and
Okay, I just need your ID.
And I hit my head.
These guys will talk to you about that.
My head hurts really bad.
Okay, we got medics here.
Right now.
Medics are right here.
My head hurts and don't do that.
I'll get it in a little bit. It is.
I'm already in the fucking stop sign.
Did you find that yet?
Yeah, I have them all right here, but I'm just looking for most current. It's all the same.
That's fine. I'll just put the company and a policy number now.
Level 192, will be code 2, we would take that 17.
Does this vehicle register to you?
Yes.
I'll just write your tag down.
Copy 179 South Powell. Caller Candace, her daughter, Angelina.
Who's that for you?
Okay.
What's your phone number?
Driver's license?
I'll pull it off for your license plate.
Okay.
What's your phone number? Okay. Where was your vehicle hit?
Right here on the nose.
Okay. Was she just going straight, or was she turning, trying to go south?
She was just coming straight. She darted.
Okay.
Now she couldn't tell us how she's going.
She can say what she wants to say.
Yeah, there was a car coming this way, and we were looking at it. We barely saw her dart out.
But you were just driving southbound.
Like a dream.
And, okay, so you just, this part of your car hit the front corner of her car. Did it spin her a little bit?
My car?
No, hers.
It slid her about that far, but she backed over, turned around, and was there.
Okay.
It slid her, but maybe 2 or 3 feet, not nothing major.
No, I know. All right. Let me make sure. I'll just verify all the information. I'll get your report number. You can get out here. If she wants to act this way, I'll give her a ticket and I'll take the report and your insurance company can go get it that way, okay?
Well,
Usually,
I got a new front bumper, only have to go buy a headlight. That ain't important.
it's going to cost me maybe $50 to put a new
Yeah, I
headlight.
can spare money.
yeah. Well,
But if she's going to act like this, you know, I
she's
could,
going to have a ticket. It's going to cost her a couple $100 now at a minimum.
Oh, but
You know what I
my
mean?
back in my back.
but in case she calls mine, I shouldn't have to call my insurance company. So they're-
I would call them, let them know that you were in an accident, let them know that the other driver was cited as at fault, and give them that report number. They can pull up that report number, they'll see my notes.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Thank
So yeah, there's nothing wrong with calling your insurance company, because they'll also contact her insurance company and make sure that she's responsible.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Take care. Did you bring her insurance with you?
I got it printed out right here.
Okay, I need that.
So what happened?
She ran a stop sign and
No,
got
I
hit by a
didn't
car.
run it. I promise. I
That
did
vehicle.
not run it.
Here, come over here, sir.
I did not run that light, that red sign, and you can ask
So,
my daughter.
Wheatland is one way south.
Everybody know what
and that
it is.
truck was
I've been
driving
here for
south.
34 years.
She came to the stop sign and then entered the intersection
No, I didn't.
while he was driving south, and he hit her.
Excuse me. Why is it you believe him and not me? Why is it I couldn't have been right there already crossing, and then he keeps going? He don't even try to stop, officer.
I need your insurance.
Yeah, my insurance is right here. Yes, I like to have them dispatched out here. I don't want to give you my insurance. I'm going to give it to this other
Okay,
officer.
I will.
I asked for another
You're
one.
not going to get another officer.
I
This isn't
am.
Burger King where you get what you
Hello?
want.
Yes.
Calm down. Calm down.
190.
Yes, sir.
I believe my at-fault driver is calling in asking for a new officer.
Yes.
I have this under control.
Yes, internal affairs. Then that's what I'll do. I need that.
All right, I'll just mark on the
Yes.
ticket that you didn't give me your insurance,
Oh, no.
and you can
I'll
take it to the court.
because I got insurance.
Okay.
I got it.
Hello.
Howdy.
How you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm good. You know, just living that dream. How are you?
Are you really living the dream?
No, absolutely not.
Is it a nightmare?
No, it's not quite a nightmare. It's
Oh.
like a purgatory dream, you know? It's just keeps going and going and going, you know?
Oh man, I wish I could remember. I had the weirdest dream the other night that like straight up woke me up, and I didn't go back. I was like 3 hours before I had to get up for work, and I could not go back to sleep. It was horrible.
Was it about pegging?
Damn, dude. It's like we're like 2 minutes in. We don't start pegging until later.
Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, that would wake me up. I'm just saying.
It would be. It might have been. I can't remember. I can't remember if there were firefighters in it or not. To be
Hey-o.
honest. Yeah. I'm glad that I had a backup Keurig so I can have a cup of coffee tonight.
Yeah, your coffee issues are making national news, you know?
Dude, I think we need to have a day of rage for my coffee pot.
Makes sense?
So I was just reading about that, not to hijack my own stream or anything, but I don't know if the people here, do you think that is that like national news yet, this day of rage?
I think it's starting to become national news. I don't know enough about it, but I would be curious if it was like a Twitter page that had 10 followers, including the news, said something like that.
Well, the only reason that I even bring it up, because I saw somebody posted on Instagram that, you know, this is just retaliation against cops. I think it was Dexter Pitts. And then I checked my work email, and I had an email from work, and it was like from the chief, you know, hey, be advised, like this might happen up here too. And it's because of the incident that happened in Georgia. And I was like, what the hell happened in Georgia? So I looked it up, and it was literally like 15 minutes ago. So I don't know if this group is very large. I can pull it up. I saw a couple people saying, what the heck is it? What should I'm going to do Georgia police officer shot.
Yeah. That'll do.
Cover real fast. Hopefully this is the same story. But basically, tell me if I'm wrong. Share my screen here. Always allow ads on Fox. Sure. So I don't even know if I need to bring up the
Now
whole
at
story,
Sleep Outfitters in Maryland.
but it's here. So Atlanta protesters are calling for violence against police after shooting leaves one dead and officers injured. And I read that and I'm just like, okay, so an officer was injured and somebody got shot and killed. Why are they calling for rage? Like, this doesn't make sense to me. And then I'm reading down through the story. That's why I sent you a message about it. I'm like, hey, have you heard anything about this? Like, this doesn't add up. Georgia officers were clearing a homeless camp. Was it a homeless camp or was it just a camp in the forest?
So here's the story. All right. I happen to randomly know a little bit about this. They're trying to build a new law enforcement training center down there in Atlanta in this forest. And apparently this forest maybe has some, I don't know, has some history and people don't like trees being cut down and stuff. And so since this has been announced, people have been living in that forest. And
so they're camping in the forest to protect the trees.
Essentially, yes.
Like a Lorax type
A
situation.
Lorax situation is what we have
Right.
here.
Did the Lorax ever shoot at anybody?
No, he didn't. I mean, he probably should have, but
It's crazy.
yeah, but so that's kind of what's been going on, and it's been going on for a while, and it sounds like they were doing another, sweep and getting people out of there, and they're trying to get a guy out, and he produced a gun, and there was a shooting, and so the Lorax people are upset about this, and they're trying to, cause harm to cops now.
So they're protecting the forest by camping out in a forest that they don't own.
Something
and
like that.
Officers went to remove them because they're trespassing, and they shot a police officer trying to kill him, and they got shot back in the process. And for that, they're calling for a day of rage and actual violence against police officers.
Yes.
It makes perfect sense.
Totally. I mean, after the last couple of years, this makes total sense.
This
is just what we fucking do now. I'm just going to hint that we're starting to get close to an election, so it's going to be time soon to start doing what we do.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much I want to go into it. But I will say, I still find it funny that this line right here on my page says, Georgia trooper shot by protester at Cop City near Atlanta. No, you were not a protester at that point. Like, can we please stop saying that? Like, stop normalizing this kind of activity. That might be maybe slightly, just a little bit, one of the reasons that we're having such a violent crime problem. Maybe? Am I off base there?
I don't know, man. It doesn't even make sense anymore. Up is down, left is right. I don't understand any of it. 20 years ago, somebody would have shot at the cops and he would have got shot and no one would have thought a thing about it. And here we are, and this is how our society is. I mean, how many of these things where we have protests and stuff are over people being shitbags and things happen to shitbags because they're being shitbags and they don't know how to act? Like, there's no control. I know we're just basically going in circles on this because we've all been talking about this for 2 years, but there's no accountability, right? There's all these people do these terrible things, and the expectation is the police come and handle it while these people don't know how to fucking act and are out of control, which we'll see in a little bit here. And they just, there's no like, hey, maybe we should stop being assholes. There's no conversation about that ever. So I don't know. It doesn't even make sense anymore, man.
I mean, I don't even know. I don't know where to start. The fact that you're calling for violence against police officers in these kind of situations. And a lot of this stuff, like, I understand in the past that police officers have done some things wrong and people feel like that was not justified and that that there was no justice for those acts. And I get all that. But you can't shoot a police officer because someone wants to cut down a tree. I mean, and then there's what was the guy named Keenan Anderson, the Black Lives Matter cousin. They're trying to say that the police killed him when it was another situation where not only did the police not do anything wrong, but they were incredibly gentle with him in that situation. It doesn't matter if it involves the police and somebody dies, it's automatically the police's fault. And
yeah, I keep hearing this, like there's this expectation that the police come in and handle these things without people getting hurt. Welcome to the real world. That doesn't always happen. A lot of times when things happen is dictated by the suspect.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, the police can come in and handle these things and nobody will get hurt. But it also is upon the people to act in a way not to, like, I'm pretty sure it's understandable that if you shoot the police, they're going to kill you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was on the top of my mind and I wanted to get that out of the way. I don't think we need to spend much time on it. It's not even like a live stream topic. You know what I mean?
No.
It's madness. Absolutely madness. So anyway, now that I've derailed it, we need to get back on.
Can I derail a little bit?
Please do.
And I haven't prepared anything to say, obviously, because this is poorly made. But I wanted to touch on our subject from last week a little bit. Just like for a second, a microsecond.
What did we talk about last week?
We talked about the Tennessee train station.
Oh, God. Yeah. Okay.
So
did I freeze or did you freeze? Is Lenny froze for you guys or am I having a problem? Oh no. I'm going to have to call him. This is poorly made as it gets. As I call my friend. This never happened before, and I have no idea what he was going to say. It was probably something that was like really poignant. Oh. I'll put him on speaker. It's going to be awkward. Oh. If I can figure out how to use my phone. Oh, because I don't have him saved as poorly made. I haven't saved on my phone as Meme Lord.
I just lost my internet, dude.
All of your internet?
It's gone.
Well, you're on speaker so that so everyone can hear you.
You can hear me right now.
Well, I have you on speaker on my phone up to the microphone.
Oh, okay. Oh, hey everybody. Sometimes it does this usually like once a day at like 2 in the morning and not at 7 in the evening. I do podcasts all the time during this time frame and it never happens. I swear this never happens to me before. It's never happened. So I'm hoping that the internet will come back soon.
So it's not like your router, it's like the whole internet and you're like to your house goes out occasionally?
Yeah, but it's like once a day, usually at 2 in the morning. Hey, I'm back. I'll get back on.
Oh, you're back right now?
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Okay. I'll pull up another video and I'll stall for the people. He hung up on me. So you guys heard it there. He's on his way back. Could you guys hear him when he was on speaker? You know what? I'm going to do this.
Are they taking her to her house? He said.
So, oh, wow. He got back quick.
that's what she said.
All right, good. I didn't have to go to my plan B.
Okay. You should always have a plan B with Iowa internet.
Well, I had it ready to go. It was a surprise for you for later.
Oh, I love surprises.
Yeah.
Okay,
so anyway,
I don't know how far it went to my rant before it got cut out, and I'll
didn't.
be very quick.
You just said the Tennessee train and train station. That was it.
Okay, so it's been really weird for me, like on the internet the last few days, because I get messages about, like, basically I get accused of being a misogynist because I'm only kind of picking on her, and it's really weird that there's like we need equity on memes now. Like, we need to make sure there's equal representation on memes now. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't done memes with the guys because I haven't really thought of something funny. You know, like the guys are shitbags too, but a lot of people made ones with the guys that were really funny, and I didn't have anything. And so it's really weird that we live in a time period where jokes on the internet, we have to make sure that we're making fun of everybody and making sure there's equal representation on memes. I just had to get that out.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because people like attack, and obviously your Facebook page has 200,000 followers, and this stream only, I think we got like 2,000 views on the last stream, which isn't bad. But they didn't get to see this part where we went on for like 10, 15 minutes about how these guys were pieces of shit for taking advantage of her and her mental health state and all that stuff. So it's silly. Did you freeze again?
No.
Oh, you got me.
I should fucking do that all the time now.
Is the stream blurred, or I need to get some glasses? I don't know.
No, I think it's just the officer's camera, maybe.
Oh, there is a little bit of a blur there.
Yeah.
So, shall we get to the topic of the day?
Let's do it.
All right. I wanted to talk a little bit about it before we go, but this video, I think a lot of people have already seen it because Code Blue Cam has a larger channel than I do, and you guys typically watch all the other police content that's out there. But this was on Code Blue Cam a couple weeks ago, and I also thought it was funny that he titled it "This Attitude Will Get You Arrested," when that wasn't like the main part of the video as far as I was concerned. But this was sent to me by Roy Jones on Wheels, and he's in the chat somewhere. I saw him comment earlier. Say hi to everybody, Roy. And he just sent it to me in an email, and he said, "Hey, can police officers really search your house because they smell marijuana?" And I didn't answer him right away because I was like, I think my initial response was probably the same as Lenny's initial response was no. Am I wrong? Is that what your first thought was?
Yeah, I mean, when I first time I watched this video, I was like, huh, this is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, like my gut reaction was just like, no, I don't think that's right. Like, so I watched the video, and then I went and looked up a whole bunch of case law, and then I wrote it back, and I was like, actually, yeah, you can. And I think I texted Lenny about it, and we had this little back and forth, and I sent you the video, and there's a lot of depth to the interaction in this video, I think. So I think it's a good one to go over. What were, like, without watching the video, when I posed that question to you, what did you think?
All right, so I have to preface this with, I was a cop in Colorado where weed was legal pretty much all of my career, so nobody gave a fuck. So I had to really kind of think about this as far as the going in on the weed. It's interesting.
But you didn't have a gut reaction.
My gut was like, this is probably okay, but because I thought like automobile exception, right?
Yeah.
Now, the difference between cars and houses is a house isn't going to just roll down the road unless you live in a trailer or something. So, you know, the automobile exception gives you a little more leeway, but it made sense. Like, well, there's evidence of a crime. I mean, I think you could use the example of like a house party, right? Where like you can hear the crime inside, and depending on your agency, maybe you would take action on that based on what you're hearing inside. It's like anything, right? You can relate these case law things in a lot of different ways. Like, I don't want to get totally off the rails here, but you know, if he peeked in that door, you know, as he's talking to them and he saw, I don't know, let's just say like a bunch of people bound and gagged on the couch. Okay, we got an issue. Hi, Roy.
This is Roy's idea. Yeah, then what you're starting to get into is a little bit of like exigency and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was just like, my initial thought.
Marijuana too, though.
Yeah, well, my initial thought was basically, and somebody just mentioned it. It doesn't have to be a felony ? That was kind of where I went. My brain instantly, because there's a case that we're going to talk about in a moment from 2013 that was like a marijuana grow operation. And it goes into detail about how they believed it was a marijuana grow because of all the evidence that they saw out there. So my initial thought was, okay, if you're going to search a house for marijuana, there better be a large amount of marijuana in there. And you better be able to articulate why there's such a large amount of marijuana. Nothing in the case law indicates that it has to be an incredibly large amount of marijuana. It just showed marijuana and that you can search. So that's a good question. And that was one of the things that popped into my head too. So Perry Jetton, thank you very much. And we missed one in the very beginning.
Oh, we did. It was my boy. It was right before I got deleted.
Yeah, we got distracted.
My boy Bronx. I know
Bronx. It was a $1.99. Thank you very much, Bronx.
There it is.
Oh wow, you are good. Yeah, so there's a lot to this video, and I think what we'll do is I think there's some pretty good stopping points where we can kind of stop and talk about everything that's happened so far. Does that sound good to you?
That does sound good. Which is, the last video we did was like 3 minutes long, and this one's 24 minutes long. So this might be like an 8-hour long live stream.
We'll see. I don't think we're gonna stop as much. Sam, we'll get into it in a minute, but there's actually a case law in Wisconsin that made it an exigency for marijuana, which kind of blew my mind as well. Oh, and I wanted to.
It makes a lot of sense though.
When you read it, it does, but we'll talk a little bit about more when we get into the details. But I thought it was funny too because I went to the Attorney General's webpage for my state, which is Ohio, and I found the legal updates that they send to police departments and stuff like that. And it's just a resource for us to use when we have a question about something. Your state Attorney General is probably the best place to go, right? Because you can't use other states as examples and stuff like that. So, and it was funny, and that's the reason I posed the teaser video that I did today. It just says, can you search a house based on the smell of the odor of marijuana? And then below it just said yes. And then you had to click on it and figure out why. That's the reason I posted the video the way I did today, is to try to get people thinking. It was funny, the reaction I got on Instagram. A lot of people thought I was saying that you can just boot someone's door because you smell marijuana inside. That's not what we're talking about at all. And we'll go into those details here in a minute. But, oh man, there's so much to this. He does a really good job explaining what's going on in the video. So I'm just going to let him start it off.
On November 8th, 2022, police were dispatched to a residence for theft from a motor vehicle in Wausau, Wisconsin. Upon arrival, officers made contact with a male subject outside the house. The male stated his backpack was recently stolen from his vehicle. He tracked his location with Apple AirTag, leading him to the reported residence. He also said the backpack contained several important papers, including military documents and banking information. He told police he knocked on the door, asking the resident about the backpack, but they claimed they didn't know anything about it.
Matthew?
Yes, sir.
Officer Austin, what's going on?
My bag got stolen today.
Okay.
I wouldn't really care for it, except there's military documents in it that I need.
Okay.
So, they got pinged at this house right here. I knocked on both the doors and they said they don't want anything of it. It was at this house right here. I mean, it's kind of bugged around, but her and I drove here and it's been, I don't know. I mean, I looked in the grass, maybe somebody threw out the window, but I can't find anything. And I tried to ping it and play a sound, and I can't. It's not in the grass. I can't ping it.
Can you just show me the ping again, just kind of where it's...
Usually it's right there, but before it was right over here, so it's kind of been jumping back and forth. I don't know if somebody's moving it around.
Okay. What kind of...
I wanted to talk about this for a moment as well. And Blue Pepper, we are going to get into the trash can thing for sure. That's something that Lenny and I both mentioned to each other. Oh, it looks like I answered myself when I asked about the audio.
That was me, by the way. I wish there was a way for me to type as me on here.
You'd have to have a separate window open with YouTube. And you could do that.
That's complicated.
It is. It's high technology stuff, man. You have to have a degree to understand how to use it. So the AirTag thing, where AirTags are really new. You didn't have those when you were a cop, right? People bringing them to you.
No, but we would
we
have
had like the Find My iPhone thing.
Yeah, we'd have stolen cell phones or whatever, and I was kind of surprised that something came out of this, because a lot of times that was actually the first thing I thought when you sent me this video, is that they fucking found something.
Yeah.
Because we'll get called to these, and somebody said, "Hey, look, my cell phone went missing, and it's tracking to this house, and it's like usually within like 15 meters, right?" Knock on the door. Hey, do you have the phone? Can we come in? If they tell you to fuck off, you're done, kind of thing, without getting a warrant or anything like that. Because there's some level of what's the word I'm looking for? They're not always entirely accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, that's what I was going to talk about. And I thought this was like a perfect way to bring this topic up because it's really frustrating for police officers when we get these calls. And it's partly frustrating because the way these things are marketed. And I get it all the time. People will come to me like, "Hey, I'm tracking my stolen phone to this specific house. I need you guys to go in and get my phone." I tell them this. I give them the speech every single time. And this comes from like our legal advice, because we get legal updates all the time. And this is how we're told to handle these. The phone could be in a radius of like 50 meters. That could actually be 3 or 4 different houses. The computer program, often what it does, if it doesn't know exactly where it is, it will pick a house that it thinks it's the closest to. It'll say, "Hey, I'm in this house." It doesn't necessarily mean it's in that house. And I've actually had people take me to a public park and they said, "Hey, my phone is pinging to the center of this park." And we had like 8 officers grid square walking off this park and not finding it. Sometimes that happens, but people at like the Apple store will tell customers, "Hey, it's got this track my iPhone thing. If you tell the police where it is, the police will go in that house and get your phone for you, blah, blah, blah." And then they get all pissed off at us when I tell them, "Look, I'll go knock on the door. And if the person tells me they don't have your phone, I'm going to say, 'Thank you very much.' I'm going to turn around and leave." And people get all kinds of pissed off when they get that kind of response, but it's true. Especially this case I thought was really interesting because he kept telling them, "Yeah, it's hitting between these 2 houses." He's like, "It was hitting over here. Now it's hitting over here." Super suspect. You know what I mean? As an officer, you don't really have anything to go on. You're not going to get a warrant in that situation. So I don't know. I just wanted to bring that up. And it's interesting because all they have is a knock and talk at this point. So
yeah.
iPad, is it?
It's a backpack.
Oh, backpack?
Yeah, it's like a black military combat bag.
Okay. Okay.
I mean,
what's in it that you're tracking?
An air tag. So I don't know if you know what an air tag is, right? I don't know if somebody might have thrown out the door. I wouldn't care if they took like the shaving cream. I wouldn't care. Like it's a travel bag, so I wouldn't care if they took anything else. But there's a blue binder in there that has like my banking information, my notes, my military documents. Like I need that binder. I don't care about
Okay. I mean, it could very well just be in the garbage. Sounds like somebody answered the door though.
The resident was later identified as 19-year-old Mario Camacho Jr.
Mario? Okay. So you got the backpack here, or?
I actually don't. I have neighbors, and he told me that he talked to them.
Okay. These neighbors over here?
Or these ones. I don't know. He came to this house.
Oh yeah, the air tag is going right here.
What?
Okay.
At this address, it can be.
That's my bag. I was cleaning my car out, but that's what it is.
Okay. All right.
Like I said, I don't know why it would be popping up here. Like I said, the neighbors, anybody else in this area, I'm the only one here. I know what is in this house, and there's definitely no backpack in here.
All right, just I might come back to chat with you. Just think tight.
They searched the garbage cans outside Mario's house and discovered several empty purses and wallets.
5.
All right, we should talk about this.
I wasn't sure if we should talk about it now or wait, but we'll talk about it now while we remember. So, what do you think about the trash can thing?
I don't know exactly in Wisconsin, so I want to be fair to them. I would argue where the trash cans are, right on the house, is curtilage all day long, and they couldn't have searched it legally.
Yeah. I think one thing that's worth mentioning is like case law and how case law varies state to state. But there's also a certain degree of uniformity. So like if you hear, unless it's some like really wackadoodle ruling, there's a pretty good chance that if something is deemed illegal in one state by the state Supreme Court, that it's that your state's probably going to follow suit. I think it's a fair thing. Curtilage is one of those topics. I saw some comments in the chat earlier about friggin' Saul is in the chat. It's that dirty rat face son of a bitch.
I was gonna actually ask him about it, but I'm like, no, I know this. I'm not even gonna fucking ask.
I thought about inviting him, or I've got another attorney friend that I've been trying to get to join us, but I didn't know she'd be available. So, some people were talking in the chat earlier about how, garbage is like considered public once you throw it in the trash can, all the other stuff. That's true, but there's also more things to think about, right? Like if the area where I work, we have alleys that go in the backyards of everybody's houses, and the trash cans are these like really large dumpsters, and it's like a community dumpster, and everyone brings all their trash out there. There's one can for every 4 houses. There's that. I think that you could go through that trash all day long. These cans here, I can move a cursor over there. Oh, you can't see it. But these cans here that are up against the house, I'm assuming that it's like in my neighborhood where they push them out to the curb on trash day and a trash truck comes and picks them up. Once those cans are pushed out to the curb, I think they're free game. The curtilage of a house, though, is, I don't know how specifically it gets defined in every different state, but in one case that I looked at today that we might touch on here, there was a case where officers were within 5 to 7 feet of a house, and they could see in the window, and they could see marijuana plants inside the window. Their whole case was thrown out, and they were overruled, and they actually lost qualified immunity for doing an illegal search of the house because they were looking in the windows from that distance away without a good enough reason. I think that the trash cans would be that same situation. They're right up against the house.
Extreme too. I guess depending on where they are, but I mean, if you're just walking by within, depending on where the sidewalk is, that'd be an interesting case. But,
I've got it up, and we could look at it if we have time. It was just when I was looking for curtilage case law, that one came up, and it was also a good one because everyone complains about qualified immunity, and these officers lost qualified immunity, and they were found, was it civilly liable in that case. But the one thing I'll say about this, and we'll get to it here in a minute, I don't know, it's tricky because I think that a good attorney is going to get this all thrown out. And I think that the looking in the trash cans is what's going to do it for them. They didn't technically base their decision to get a warrant on what's in the trash cans, but I think that they pressed the issue because of what they found in the trash cans. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so. And hopefully they don't use this live stream in the prelim in the motions hearing, because I looked up this case because Wisconsin's actually very easy to search up public records as far as court cases go. And this, I don't even think this has gone to a prelim yet. So yeah, it could be an interesting motions hearing to say the least.
Yeah. And in Allie, one of the cases that I looked up, because we're talking about like plain sight and all that, if you're within the curtilage of someone's house, it's bad, period. Like if you can see it from the neighbor's property, if you can tell exactly what it is from like the next property over without entering this person's curtilage, then it's in plain sight. Like they didn't charge the guy, but I was part of a thing where we went and pulled like 170 plants out of some guy's backyard. It was mind boggling. They were just right out in the open. He wasn't trying to hide it or anything. A cable guy called in on it. So from standing in the alley, I could look over a fence that was this tall, and I could see freaking marijuana plants that were as tall as me. That's plain sight. The trash cans would be really hard to articulate.
Yeah, and I think there's an argument too of, the trash cans open. I mean, it'd be one thing if the trash cans were open and you're walking by as you're going to knock on his door and holy shit, look at all these purses. I think there's maybe something there, but the curtilage depends on why you're there too, I believe. If you're walking up, maybe doing a canvas or something, and you have kind of a basis of why you're there, not just randomly knocking on people's doors, and, maybe something you see. But yeah, generally you got to be really careful with that.
Yeah. So they opened the trash cans. They could tell, oh shit, this guy's been out stealing purses and wallets. Like, we've got our thief here. So they start pressing the issue a little bit harder, which, you know, it's going to give them problems down the line, like in court. But it's still, this is all taken piece by piece. There's some good police work here.
5962. Can you advise, were any purses or brown wallets taken from these vehicles? These garbage cans are full of purses and brown wallets.
This is a rookie move, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. The other funny thing is, the guy editing these videos is not a police officer, so he didn't realize. You know, he's like, "Oh, look, this is good police work."
Garbage, yeah.
While the officers were waiting outside the house,
and I meant more like
an uninvolved female pulled into the
trash can.
Oh, yeah. No, that's really dumb. The guy's an idiot.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're out breaking into cars and stealing persons and shit, you're an idiot to begin with.
Driveway.
And now for something completely different. But yeah,
I'm highlighting this for now. I'll take it off the screen, but we should talk about that because that's a great point.
Well, and that's what I touched on. And when we get to the next point, we will. But yeah, that they didn't start really pressing the issue until they found that information. Of course, when they applied for their search warrant, they didn't say, "Hey, we found a bunch of stuff in the trash can, and then we smelled weed." You know, they're going to use the weed to get their search warrant. So it's problematic. It is what it is. So now we're going to go on a side quest for a minute.
What's going on? What's going on? I just want to know what's going on because I drove by and I seen y'all searching through my brother's trash can, so I'm just wondering what's going on. Well, someone's got to let me know what's going on. Can you tell me what's going on?
So when you're doing an investigation and somebody pulls up, are you required to tell them what's going on?
No.
What if it's their brother?
No. Scream it from the mountaintops. I get the concern from your brother, but she made this so much worse than it needed to be.
Oh yeah, she's so dramatic. It's hilarious. It doesn't just go for the family members, but we get family members, we get parents. They'll come over. That's my son. That's my daughter. My favorite are the neighbors. We'll be doing something, you know, and the neighbor will come down the road. They're like, "Hey, I live down the street. Can you tell me what's going on?" And I really piss people off when I say this, but I go, "No, why don't you go back down the street?" And I say it like in a really nice way, and they just kind of look at me like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yeah, get the fuck out of here." So anyway, I don't say that, but it's what I'm thinking.
Onyx, that is interesting. I didn't notice that when I watched the video, but I think an argument could be made because based on where those trash cans are, they're kind of close to the door. As you walk by and you see, there's a bunch of fucking purses in that trash can. Maybe. I didn't see that, but I think that would be tough to articulate. But it could count for something depending, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I still think that to be safe, you don't do that. It's just it's basically attached to the house at that point. It's close enough to the house that it's part of the house, and going into it, looking at it, touching it, doing anything is an illegal search, unless it's laying in the front yard out in the open. And then I saw someone else said, you know, these are city recycling bins. They were not garbage cans. I don't know if I just want to point out that it being a city bin, regardless of recycling, garbage, whatever, it doesn't matter. If it's that close to the house, you're not allowed to touch it. The end. What?
That wasn't the one. I missed one. I wanted to talk to our good buddy Freethinker, who's a good sport. The officers are kind of escalating if they're not giving at least some reason for their presence.
Yeah, fuck
I
that.
love Christmas presents too. Dude, here's the thing. Is everybody feels like they're just owed something. I'm good for being polite, but here's the thing is they don't owe her anything. They can just say, "Hey, we're in the middle of an investigation. We'll talk to you in a minute," or he can talk to you in a minute. But right now we need to focus on what we're doing.
Yeah.
It's a distraction technique too, to be honest with you.
And she knew damn well that her
all the time. I'm just going to tell you right now, when people act like this, specifically like this, and the way she's acting like this, it's almost a telltale sign there's something else going on.
Yeah.
And they're trying to draw your attention away. It's a game.
she knew her brother was out stealing. Like, she knew for a fact. And the funny thing too, because like, and I haven't watched this for probably a week or so, but it's funny because when the officers are talking to her, I don't know if they're newer, so their training is fresher in their mind, or if they just have some years on them and they're extremely proactive and like they're responding to their training pretty well with a lot of these things. Because like what they're asking her is, oh, do you live here? That's an important question, because multiple people of that residence can deny you permission to search it, you know? So if, and like one of the examples that we use often is, wife calls and says, hey, my husband's got a bunch, he's a convicted felon. He's not allowed to have weapons here. And there's weapons in my house. I want you to come get them. Officers come to the house. She's given consent to search the house, but husband shows up and says, what are you doing? Get the fuck out of my house. He's a resident of that house. He's withdrawing consent. So they were asking her, hey, do you live here? And then when they find out she doesn't live here, like, no, we don't have to tell you anything. They're just being black and white. Plus the one officer's on the phone, you know, calling back to his sergeant or whatever he's doing. No, we're not, people expect, what's the word? They're too entitled. They feel like they're entitled to information that they're not entitled to.
Well, and that was,
you have to draw that line somewhere.
Yeah. And free, you can say that, but it doesn't mean you're going to really piss the citizen off. Okay. But again, what we're saying is you're not entitled to that information. Just because you want to know doesn't mean you get to know. Yeah. And that's part of the problem here is there's this issue with like citizens versus cops. And I agree, it shouldn't be a thing like that, but all of the onus on everything is always on the cops, always on the cops. And it's like, they're just trying to do their investigation, and people come in and they butt their heads in, and it causes distractions. And I don't know about you, but when I get distracted by things can be missed.
Yeah.
Right.
And
she's causing a distraction. People, when they do this, are causing a distraction, whether intentional or not. Like, we can be polite and stuff, but at some point it's not really your business. You don't have a right to know at that moment in time.
Yeah. And like the fact that she's upset because she's not getting something she's not entitled to is not my problem. If we've got more officers on scene, maybe one or two of the officers can take her aside, explain it to her. But I think they do try to explain it to her in a minute. It's just, she loses her mind. So let's watch that.
Do you live here?
I come here often, and I drove by and see you guys searching my brother's garbage can, so I am just wondering what's going on.
Okay,
and
well,
there's cars out here.
If you don't live here, you don't need to know right now.
Actually, I do. Mario, what's going on?
10-4, you have enough game runner.
The female was later identified as 22-year-old Chertisha Camacho.
Who are these people?
They're the ones who called us.
Okay, so they don't live
Henry,
here. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on.
So
why I just
he
drove
had
past
a
you guys
bag
and searched
stolen.
my brother's
Will you let
garbage
me talk?
can.
Will you let me talk?
I actually been asking y'all to talk since I pulled up here. So
Well-
yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
So he had a bag stolen from his car last night. Had an air tag in it. Air tag places it somewhere between these two houses. So
You know who lives in the other houses?
we're talking with them right now. We're gonna go next door, but the air tag shows
Okay,
it right
that's
here.
fine, but don't go searching through my brother's garbage can for
It's public
y'all don't have the
property.
right to do that.
That's
And y'all
public
know
property.
better than that because y'all are police officers.
We
Don't
have
do
the-
no
we
like
have
that
the
without his
authority to
permission.
do it.
Straight up.
We have the authority
It's really
to
that.
search the
No,
garbage.
you don't. Now without my brother's permission, you don't. That's illegal in a. I can't even search my neighbor's garbage can. So I know you can't search my brother's garbage can. Don't do,
You might be
don't
right
do
about
nothing like that without his.
Was that?
She may be right about that.
Oh yeah. That's what I was thinking when I watched this the first time. I was like,
Yeah.
yep,
right.
she's probably
She's
right.
right.
But, and it's one of those things too. It's like, okay, but take it to court, you know, but
And again, Wisconsin, they may have a law. Like I know Iowa has a law specifically about the trash. And in my limited research today, I couldn't really find anything specific about it. I know a Wisconsin cop, I reached out to him. I wasn't able to get a hold of him. But, you know, they may have something where they can. But from our general understanding, that's going to be an issue with curtilage. I
yeah,
just want to
like,
throw the disclaimer out.
yeah, like they could have a specific exception carved into the law that's not
Mhm.
been challenged constitutionally. So
Yeah.
that'd be interesting. And I also, one thing that really bothers me is, and it's not necessarily their fault. It kind of is. The victim parked in the suspect's driveway, and then she went and parked him in, and now you got her sitting there being all stupid, yelling at the victim, and that's a problem. I don't know. It's something that they didn't foresee happening, but
yeah, I think that's one of those
my,
things where you didn't. Normally, I would ask people to meet down the street.
I always tell them
this guy
to
was
leave.
probably here already.
Yeah, I tell them to wait here. I'll like, and usually the dispatchers are pretty good about that. Like I did one a couple of days ago where we met down the street and I said, hey, you wait here. I'll go see if I can get it. And this person actually gave me $100 bill. She's like, I've got $100 bill. If you can get my phone for $100, like that'd be awesome. No questions asked. And we went and knock this particular one. We go and knock on the door and we're not getting an answer. We're not hearing any movement inside, anything. I stepped away from the house. I'm looking up. The windows were all smashed out. And then I looked at the side of the house. The side windows were all smashed out. What does that tell you about that house?
Well, it's probably a flop house, you know.
And that, who do you think broke those windows?
Well, you know, I don't want to speculate. It
It
could
was
be
us.
anybody that broke the windows.
It was us. Yeah, it was raided. It was like a drug raid. You know,
Oh,
we
nice.
busted. Yeah, that's how our guys hit the houses. They pull up to the house with the bullhorn. They'll say, police department, search warrant, come out of the house. They'll say it like 3 times. There's a law. I think they have to give announcements for 30 seconds. I think that's what it is. Don't quote me on that. They give the proper announcements like they're supposed to, and then they'll have like 4 guys lined up, and they just start launching knee knockers through all the windows. Every single window in the house gets blown out, and that's what happened. So then I went and knocked on the neighbor's door and asked if anybody's actually living there, and she's like, we're not sure who lives there. There's a lot of people that come and go from that house. And we're like, gotcha. And then we went back and gave this woman her $100 back and told she wasn't getting her phone. But yeah, parked down the street. That was a tangent. Sorry.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
Mission, thank you.
Okay. So what are we doing right now?
Here.
Due to the AirTag ping location and marijuana odor coming from the house, officers found it reasonable to make entry and make sure there were no other residents.
Alright, who else is home right now, Mario? It's just you? Alright, I'm gonna have you step out.
Are you?
Have a seat for me. I'm gonna be securing the residence because the residence smells like weed. We're gonna be applying for a search warrant. Is there anybody else home?
I'm going to pause it there because that was the important line that a lot of people missed when they watched the video. But Allie, I wanted to answer your question. Why knock out all the windows instead of just using the front door? They knock out the front door too. But these are like high-risk drug search warrant raids, you know, where we're expecting to find guys with guns and drugs and stuff in the house. It's kind of like a shock and awe tactic, you know, so they will simultaneously blow every single window out of the house while they're battering ramming the front and back door, usually just one door while they have guys watching one door, and then go running in the house and zip tie everybody that's inside. It's hopefully the people inside are so disoriented by all the explosion stuff happening around them that they don't shoot us. That's the reason for that. So this part, I'm going to play this again from right here.
Without permission, thank you.
Okay. So what are we doing right now?
Here.
Due to the AirTag ping location and marijuana odor coming from the house, officers found it reasonable to make entry and make sure there were no other residents.
Alright, who else is home right now, Mario? It's just you? Alright, I'm gonna have you step out.
Are you?
Have a seat for me. I'm gonna be securing the residence because the residence smells like weed. We're gonna be applying for a search warrant. Is there anybody?
So I had this a little mixed up in my own brain. I thought they went up and talked to him again, and they were like, "Oh, you know what? I smell weed. I'm pulling you out of the
Yeah,
house."
I thought that's what I remembered too, but no.
No,
They
I
just
think
didn't articulate it, or it was cut out of this. Because I know he's done some cut and paste on this video, so we maybe didn't see them say anything before about it.
I'm willing to bet that when he got on the phone, he was calling like his supervisor, and he's like, "Hey, Sarge, we're at this house. It's pinging here. There's there's a bunch of stuff in the trash can that makes us believe that this guy's out stealing this stuff. I think we have our guy. How do we get in the house?" And then maybe they're running through, I don't know, do you smell any weed in the house? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or the sergeant might have been like, "Is there anything else you got?" And the guy's like, "No, I smelled a little bit of weed." And then the guy, he was like, "Okay, use that to get in the house." So that's what they ended up doing. Just did a search, Wisconsin, please.
I'm looking for it too. You should tell me where you found that because I'd like to see this moment in trading.
Do links work in the chat?
I don't know if they do.
Anyway, but that's
sorry about
interesting.
that. The delay. I'm curious because that kind of changes a lot of this.
Yeah, well, that would alleviate the curtilage issue, right? But it doesn't necessarily. If that's not an issue in Wisconsin, then these guys are going to be good all day long, if you ask me.
Yeah.
So, here's a question. What is a knee knocker? Is it the same as a flashbang? We call them knee knockers. I don't know what they're actually called, but it's a 40 millimeter grenade launcher that you can put different projectiles in. You can put smoke in them, flashbangs, all kinds of stuff. They can put these little dowel rod sections that are like this big, that big around, 40 millimeters. And it's just a wooden dowel rod that's that big that they shoot through windows. And we call them knee knockers because back in the day when we used to be able to stop people from riding, and it's actually a tube like this long and it has like 6 or 8 of those wooden projectiles in it. They would aim it at the ground like between 6 and 10 feet in front of a crowd of people. And when those things hit the ground and bounced up, they're targeting the knees. So you're targeting their knees to convince them that with a little bit of pain, or if they stay there, they're going to feel that pain again and they might disperse. But they're also very good for knocking out windows. Let's see if I right click, there's an ordinance that gives trash cans collectors to authority to enter. Interesting. So,
but that has nothing to do with cops, though.
Yeah, I don't think that changes it for purposes of the Fourth Amendment.
I'm not reading anything that wouldn't change that. Again, we're not, judges and lawyers and stuff like that, but I would think that's curtilage.
Yeah, but without more specific knowledge of Wisconsin itself, I would say it's probably not right. But that's
Mr. Mayhem, if you could. I'm not trying to kill the live stream, but this is kind of important. I didn't see anything earlier when but he said he's got something that may.
Yeah, well, but the problem is searching a trash can is different depending on the circumstances.
Yeah.
Like if that trash can is inside someone's garage, you definitely can't search it. If it's in their backyard, probably can't search it. The backyard is considered curtilage as far as for the purposes of this discussion, because it's a government intrusion onto your property to conduct a search. They can stand if they can articulate that, hey, I was in the neighbor's driveway and I could see the elements of a crime. That's one thing, but if the trash cans are touching the house, they're virtually part of the house. That's the problem, and that's the thing that. And it's better safe than sorry. As a police officer, I don't want to lose my house. I don't want to lose my job. Better safe than sorry. If it's touching the house, you can't touch it unless you have a warrant. So.
And this, again, kids, the police work is kind of a pain in the ass when it comes to case law. Because who would have thought looking in a like an innocent thing and looking in a dumpster and seeing this? I don't know what I'm thinking. Maybe they looked in the dumpster to see if the documents were in there. Would be my guess is why they opened it. I don't know why else they would. That's the only thing that makes sense in my mind.
This is such a hijack of the stream, but said, I would like to be tased. I called my local PD and the guy at the front desk hung up on me. I told him that I was 100% serious and just asked him if there's any class I could go to. We would probably hang up on you too. You can contact Taser. Or find someone that has their own taser. I think you can buy one.
Buy a taser. Yeah.
Yeah, you can buy one. They're like $600. Last time I checked. Buy a taser and some cartridges. Have one of your buddies go to town on you. It'll be good times. So anyway, here we are. They went in. They grabbed the guy and they said, "Hey, we're gonna have you step out of the house." He told the other officer, "Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and I think he said secure it. At least that's the word that we use. We're gonna secure the house and get a search warrant." And because we smell marijuana. In the state of Ohio, that is a thing. In the state of Wisconsin, it is also a thing. I can pull up the case law. Oh, I'll do the should we do the Wisconsin one first?
Yeah, that probably makes sense.
This one is a little bit different. It's kind of neat actually, because not only does it talk about how in Wisconsin you can enter a property to search based on the smell of marijuana, but you can also get exigency. Is that big enough for you guys to read? Can you read that?
No.
All right, I'll go through it. So, what's the difference between getting a warrant and having an exigent circumstance, Lenny?
Why are you quizzing me, man?
Because I want to give you the opportunity to speak. You're smart.
Okay. So you're asking me what the difference is between getting a warrant and exigent circumstance. Basically, exigent circumstances is you don't have time to get a warrant because the time it would take you to get a warrant, in this case, the evidence could be destroyed, kind of thing. That would be an example of exigent circumstances.
Or I guess it's just an exigent circumstances. Hey, we have to search right now. We're not going to wait on a warrant. If there's no exigency, you have to wait on a freaking warrant.
Yeah.
When I posed the initial question, does the odor of marijuana give the police the right to search your house? The answer is yes. A lot of people thought that meant they're just going to grab you and go search your house. It gives them the right to search with a warrant, not just a warrantless entry, which would be an exigent circumstance. So when I was looking for Wisconsin law on whether or not the odor of marijuana got police into a home to search, I found one with actual exigency, which is even better, right? So it says the odor of burning marijuana justified a warrantless entry of a home. Normally, the smell of marijuana, you have to get a warrant to search the house, but on this one, it was the odor of burning marijuana that got them an exigent circumstance. So the odor of marijuana gave police probable cause to believe evidence of a drug crime would be found in this home. And the odor plus the occupant's awareness that the police were knocking on the door gave them reason to believe the evidence would be destroyed if they took the time to get a warrant. That is the definition of an exigency. So in this particular case, I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but basically it's an apartment building. One resident called in and said, hey, the people next door are smoking weed. I can smell it. I want you guys to come and bust these dangerous criminals, right? Because that's what weed is. It's probably people that are injecting marijuana are some of the most dangerous people that you will ever encounter. Am I wrong?
Super dangerous.
Yes, it's incredibly dangerous. And we get a lot of calls about these dangerous marijuana users. So the officers arrived and they're doing their due diligence. Just, they respond to the call. Nikki, thank you very much for the super chat. They arrive at this apartment, and from outside, they can smell marijuana being burned. They knock on the door, and I believe there's a bunch of juveniles in there, and one of them looks out the window. The officers knew this apartment. They'd been there many times. Apparently, these kids that have been injecting marijuana into their veins for years and had been wreaking havoc on the neighborhood. The children's mother comes to the door and opens it a crack and basically tells the officers, you're not coming in. The officers, when she tried to shut the door, they forced the door back open, made entry into the apartment, grabbed the kid, grabbed his weed, and charged him. The kid appealed and filed a lawsuit saying, look, this was there was no exigent circumstance. You can't force entry for a marijuana search, blah, blah, blah. The state the police department argued not only could we smell marijuana, but we could tell the marijuana was being burned. And if we waited for a warrant, there would be no more marijuana to, in there. So we had to force entry, and they won their case. So that's kind of like a double whammy.
I don't remember if it was this article. It may have been the Ohio one, but I was looking at some of the comments on it, and I got to be honest, guys. Might be hard to believe. I'm not a big weed smoker. I don't really know anything about it, but apparently CBD is legal in most places now, I think. And apparently, if you smoke CBD, it smells like marijuana. And so some people had a lot of people had comments as far as that goes is, well, hey, wait a second. If I'm smoking CBD, that's perfectly legal. It doesn't give the cops the right to go into my house. I actually Googled if CBD smells like weed when you smoke it. So the FBI is probably coming to my house soon. So, and apparently it does, according to the internet. So that could be something interesting down the line. I know, just to kind of equate it, we had dogs on our police department that were trained in smelling marijuana. Well, when weed became legal in Colorado, those dogs couldn't hit on cars anymore because it wasn't because marijuana was legal. Which was kind of weird in a DUI sense, but it's legal to have marijuana, so the dogs couldn't be used. So that's going to be an interesting thing. The weed thing is very complicated. Hemp and CBD and all this crazy shit. Why don't you guys just drink alcohol like the rest of us?
There was an issue a couple years ago, or we were concerned there was going to be an issue with legalization of hemp in my jurisdiction. The courts were not sure that they were even going to accept any criminal charges based on marijuana without lab testing. And the lab, I think it has something to do with the amount of money that costs, whatever. The city and the department was like, we're not sending suspected marijuana out for testing, just because the costs don't add up. They don't compute, right? Like, you're not going to send something out for a misdemeanor crime that it's just a fine at the end of the day, even if they're found guilty. So we were basically worried that all of our PC to search and everything was going to get thrown out because we're using, and that's another kind of big thing about the case we're talking about today, is that the smell of marijuana was what gave them the PC to search to solve an actual crime. We're kind of focusing on the marijuana here, but the actual crime was the theft of this backpack and getting this guy's property back to him. Often out on the street, and this would be really a pain in the ass in a state where it's completely legal. We just use the smell of marijuana to get everybody out of the car and perform a search of the car, and we find guns and heroin and crack and methamphetamine and all that kind of stuff. Without the smell of marijuana, it makes our job a lot more difficult, and it gives the bad guys that are out there committing these actual acts of violence, it gives them a little bit more leeway, which is frustrating. But without going too deep into it, I found an Ohio case as well. This was this State versus Green. This was an interesting one because it says that the police arrived at Gregory Green's home after receiving an anonymous tip on an open warrant. I'm assuming he had a warrant for his arrest is what they're saying. This detective took a police canine around the back of the house. The detective could smell the strong odor of marijuana coming from the house, but the canine did not alert because he was not ordered to smell for marijuana. He was sitting there waiting to bite the guy if he came running out of the house. Detective Sharp and Robinson also went to the back of the house and confirmed the smell of marijuana. The officers saw an exterior ventilation system coming from the floor, and they noted it was 6:30 in the morning. It was cool outside. The windows were all covered, blah, blah, blah. They believed that there was a large grow operation in the house, so they applied for a search warrant, got a search warrant, found a whole bunch of plants, vacuum sealed marijuana, and a firearm. Green argued that the police could not smell the marijuana coming from inside his house because the air conditioner was not on or was not connected to the basement where the plants were, and his neighbors never testified that they did not smell marijuana. This was all actually upheld, and it just kind of goes to that idea that the smell of marijuana can get you in a house. It doesn't necessarily need to be a huge amount. It just has to be that you can testify that you can smell marijuana you get in that house. What you got highlighted there?
Oh, that alcohol is way more dangerous. It probably is. To be honest with you guys, I give two shits about people smoking weed in their own house. Don't care. I really don't care. I honestly think it probably should be federally legal. We have much bigger issues. But guess what? I don't make the laws. So
yeah, I don't care about people using weed at all. Like, I've not charged anybody for weed in probably 8 years. I really don't care. The thing I do care about is that there's some real victims of crimes out there that we don't get to solve because we're having tools taken away from us. It might be the wrong way to look at it, but that's one of the biggest reasons that I would stand opposed to legalization of weed, because as we're going to see in this video, this guy's going to get his backpack and his military paperwork and all that back because the officers used weed as PC to search his house. So,
Fundamentally, I disagree with that, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I understand that it's not the best logic in the world, as far as I understand the faultiness with it, but maybe for selfish purposes, that's where I'm gonna stand for now.
So, just a quick update on the legal stuff as far as the curtilage goes. That was emailed me. So, Milwaukee has a winter rules ordinance that opens the door to police to search the garbage can. See, and we were kind of talking about it before, but basically there was a guy, he got sentenced as a career criminal, and because the cops found weed in his garbage can or something, and some guns or something like that. And he went to get it thrown out because of this curtilage issue. And they said that they could because of this winter rule for garbage cans. So I don't know if it's specifically in Milwaukee though, because it talks specifically about an ordinance in Milwaukee. So that may not apply here. I don't know, but it is. I've noticed in my readings about this, because it is kind of a weird, an oddly weird, complicated issue with trash cans and curtilage and stuff. It really depends court to court, and it'll be interesting. I'll try and follow along with this one and see if it ends up getting thrown out.
Yeah, and as far as like varying court to court, it really does. The one that I read earlier where it said the officers lost qualified immunity, I think that went all the way to the Supreme Court of Ohio. And it was like, what? Like they won in every lower court. And then that is what I sent you, Ben. Oh.
Yeah, that was me. That was me. You actually sent it to Lenny, but thank you, buddy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, like these guys actually won in every lower court, and this was the one where this was it was like some kind of, they called it I forget what they called it, a scrap team or something like that. But they're out there. It's like a meth task force in some rural county in Ohio, and they got a tip that some guy was cooking meth in his house. They went to the house. They were going to do a knock and talk, but they also had 5 members, so they had the house surrounded. And while the house was surrounded, they looked up on the balcony and they saw marijuana plants. They used that to get a warrant to get into the house. They got marijuana, meth, the guy, and like a gun. It all got suppressed, and they all lost qualified immunity, at least the ones that testified in order to get the search warrant. And it was because they were in the backyard, which is curtilage, and they did a search by looking they saw the marijuana on the balcony, and then looking inside, they could see what looked like joints in an ashtray, and they used that to get a search warrant. And they specifically lost qualified immunity because they illegally searched within the curtilage of a home. So,
you know what's interesting though, and we are never going to finish this video, but a judge signed off on the search warrant, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy, because
but I don't
generally, depending on what was in the search warrant, because if they put all that in the search warrant, I think any judge worth his salt would be like, no,
yeah,
you guys found this illegally. But I don't know the rules, the procedures of courts when it comes to that kind of stuff. But my understanding is generally warrants are better because you're asking a permission ahead of time. You know,
because you're taking the you're pawning the onus off on somebody else too. You're like, hey, look, I went through the court. I don't know, but there might be an issue with judge not reading the warrants. I don't know if they're held liable for that or not. But the one thing, to get back to this video, because like you said, we're never going to finish it. They pulled him out of the house and said, hey, we're going to get a warrant. We can smell marijuana. And then the officer goes in and does a protective sweep of the home to make sure there's no other people inside that could be destroying evidence.
Anybody else home? Okay, have a seat.
Is there anything I can do?
Have a seat for me right now. We'll talk about that later.
Meditation. Hey, Tisha, police department, make yourself known if you're in here. Do it now. Hey, they said they smell you.
Y'all don't smell no weed, so y'all can
Stay
get
out here.
Stay out.
Stay
I
out.
don't smell weed. My brother don't smoke weed. So
Stay
did
out.
y'all check the neighbor's house if y'all smell weed?
Stay out.
No, sir. Y'all don't have the right to do that. There's no scent of weed in this house. Do y'all want to come and smell? Do y'all want to come and smell?
We're recording right now.
Does someone else want to come and smell? My brother don't smoke weed, so it don't smell like weed in here.
Stay out.
Get out of my brother's house before I call a motherfucking lawyer. Sir, don't grab
Put your hands behind your back.
Okay, that's fine.
I like how the brother's so chill. He's like, babe, stop.
Because he's stoned, man. It's like, fuck, dude, just stop. You're making it worse.
And like, I also like, she started off saying, hey, you guys can't search the trash cans. She was making intelligent points, right? Like, maybe, and a lot of people make this mistake. They hear about like a judgment in Ohio where these officers lost qualified immunity for illegal searching within the curtilage. And she's like, oh, I know this case. Like, you guys can't search this trash can. And they're like, we're in Wisconsin. We can, but everything was like going really well. And then this whole thing, she was not being smart. Like, she knows I hate people that lose their minds lying. They will just lie at the top of their lungs, something that they know damn well is a lie. And she got herself in trouble for it. So I would think that they have a good reason to detain her and remove her from the scene. I don't have a crime yet. Do you have a crime yet?
I think maybe some interference. Depending on where you're at, and how you're
around here, that probably wouldn't fly, but you're getting really close to it.
Yeah, we used to call it, contempt of cop, right?
Yeah,
but real quick, and I swear to God, I won't talk about trash cans anymore. I do want to throw out the possibility, though, and we kind of hinted at this in the beginning, that it is possible that because they didn't really find anything in the trash cans, that might not even be relevant to the case, right? Because upon reviewing this video, they just kind of walked up and they're like, hey, we smelled marijuana. They had a legal basis to knock on his door. It was just a knock and talk. They had the odor of marijuana. It may not be an issue. This whole trash can thing that we've been arguing about for an hour now may not even be an issue, depending.
I think that a good attorney could convince a judge that, look, these officers didn't have shit, and then they did an illegal search in the trash can, and then they fabricated the smell of marijuana as an excuse to get in the house. That would be my argument.
An attorney can argue that. I'm saying it may end up not even being a non-issue.
Yeah,
because
it's one of those ones where it's going to be like a toss-up, see which way it goes, and with the judge. But yeah, and like obstructing official business would be the charge here. I just think that like where I am, you have to make an overt act to hamper or delay the investigation, and just yelling.
I would say that was pretty overt, man.
I can see a case for someone saying it's not good enough. I'm not saying
that's because we can't charge crimes anymore.
That's kind of where I'm coming from right now too. You know.
They don't have the right to do this. Smell Mario's house. It don't smell like weed in there. No,
stay out of the house.
Every house smells like weed.
Go back in the car.
Justin,
Get
go
back
back
in
in
real
the
quick,
car.
can we take one more time now?
That's
And I don't know the answer to this, but this is probably a good question. Does Wisconsin have medical marijuana?
Oh, that was a thing that came up a lot in the comments and stuff today on Instagram and on YouTube. I wanted to address it briefly. That where you do have medical marijuana, if you have weed, you have to be able to prove that it's medical weed. If it's not, then you're getting charged with it at the end. I don't know. And because someone also asked,
my thought would be is he would have said something if he had the card.
Yeah. Would have pulled that out right away. Oh yeah, I got medical weed. It's in my pocket right here. Like nothing to hide, right? So that's it. But also with and that's just going to cloud the water and make this more difficult for officers in the future, to the point where I personally probably, I don't. I don't use the smell of marijuana to get into a house. I never have, and I don't know that I would, just because it's getting so much more and more complicated, and you have to find better ways to get into these houses. And sometimes you just have to chalk up a loss too. It is what it is. So this isn't a thing where I'm sitting here. Obviously, I don't think I am. I'm saying, yeah, officers need to search based on this, blah, blah, blah. I'm saying that legally they can. And that's what we're discussing here. So
yeah.
And it's that way your rights too.
We have our own thoughts and opinions on this. I express mine. Like, I don't really care about weed. It's not, alcohol is probably worse. But you get into dangerous territory where the cops are deciding what's moral and what's not. That's why allegedly we have a system that works, and we have elected leaders that represent their communities that can make decisions on stuff like that. I know things seem broken right now, but people always want, we want cops to make decisions, but then when they make decisions they don't like, it's like, well, they don't have no right to make that decision. It's not, cops are kind of limited to what they can do, right? If it's legal here, it's legal here. It's good police work, even though you may not like it and you may not believe it's just. It's legal at this moment, which I know somebody's going to get, oh, that's what the Nazis said. Just shut the fuck up. That doesn't, we're apples and oranges, okay? Just stop. I hate to say it, like, anytime anybody calls anybody a Nazi, I'm just like, why? Why would I can't even, you know what? I'll lose my shit on that, and we'll talk about 20 minutes about how I hate people that use that term. We should relegate that term to fucking Nazis, not to somebody you disagree with.
Especially not Jews.
Jesus Christ.
So anyway, right now there's an officer in there doing a protective sweep while they're taking sis into custody.
So weird. They just doing this so they can go search this fucking house.
Y'all
don't have the right to search this house.
Have a seat.
I will. Y'all don't gotta grab me up like that.
I also respect how dude's filming the cops, and he's not being a dick. He's just filming, just standing there.
Y'all do not have the right, Mario. Tell them that they don't have the right.
Go back to the car.
Right
now we're securing the house.
Tell them right now. Just don't be mad. Just tell them.
I have the right to go in my house. We're
Without a
securing the
search
house.
warrant. Tell them that, Mario. Tell them that. Tell them they do not have the right to go into your house without a search warrant. Mario, if they had the right, they would already be searching
and we
it.
cannot let you back in the house right now.
That's fine, Mario, but tell them. Mario,
listen.
Shut up and listen, boy.
He didn't say search.
Shut up.
No, it's not a search.
Tell them they do not have the right to search the house without a search warrant. And they need to wait.
We are not searching the house.
Well, you guys were just in there without his permission after we told you not to be in there. Stop breaking my laws, and this would be a lot simpler. If y'all leave, this would be solved way simpler without y'all here. Y'all searching shit y'all ain't got no reason to be searching.
Check the bathroom right quick.
Exactly.
That's what we're trying to do. But right now, go check the bathroom right
Y'all
quick.
see, they're trying to take advantage of somebody that don't even know how to move.
I didn't catch that the first time. Did you hear him say, like, hey, go check the bathroom real quick for me? So the guy just gave him consent to search the house.
Did he play that again? I want to rehear that.
It's hard to hear over her.
Y'all searching shit y'all ain't got no reason to be searching.
Check the bathroom right quick.
Exactly.
That's what we're trying to do. But right now, go check the bathroom right
Y'all
quick.
see, they're trying to take advantage of somebody that don't even know how to move.
Sound like consent to you?
It does. It does. I mean, now the problem with that though is guys are already in the house when he's saying that, so I don't know how that's. Again, it's all like it gets complicated, right?
Yeah,
I want to make this point, and you tell me if I'm wrong here. Based on what we're reading, they didn't even have to take the step to get the warrant. They could have just searched the house.
No, there's no exigency. The one case we had, the kids were burning weed, so they forced entry and went in. This one, they just smell it.
Okay. All right.
Right.
I hear what you're saying. Because I think an argument could be made if you're going to play this game the way they're playing it is just to throw it out there, to play devil's advocate, is if, we can easily be destroyed, right? Flush it down the toilet, smoke it, it could disappear, go away kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just
well, no, but what they're doing is they're clearing the house to make sure there's nobody inside that can destroy the evidence.
I know. No, yeah, I know what they're doing. Yeah, they're clearing it and then getting the warrant. Yeah, which I think is much smarter. And for you young cops out there, if you have an opportunity to get a warrant or consent, do that. Case law is great, and knowing case law is great, but sometimes people do funny things in court. So if you have the opportunity to get consent or a warrant, why not?
Yeah. And so what they're doing right now is they're just getting everybody out of the house, searching it's like an immediate area clearing for dangerous things. And then they're going to go back outside, secure the structure, and wait for their warrant. It works a little bit differently how they did it, but regardless.
And Pink, that's exactly it. Is you don't want somebody randomly in the house that could hurt you or destroy the weed or something like that. So they're securing it, making sure there's no one inside, and then they're going to go get the warrant. They're not going to let anybody back in while they're trying to get the warrant.
Yeah. And I had this one highlighted just because there's a very strong distinction between houses and cars. There's a motor vehicle exception, just because a car is mobile, blah, blah, blah. You don't need to get a warrant to search a car under most circumstances, particularly if a canine hits on it, you can go ahead and search that car. It's different than a house. A house isn't going to move. You can secure the house where it is and go. So they're inside, making sure there's nobody else in the house, and then something magical happens.
Get the point out.
But right now we're waiting on another officer because things are kicking off way too much, man.
You not know what y'all really is talking about.
Y'all doing too much.
No.
Mario, just sit down. Sit down.
Hold on a second.
Because I'm not trying to get
We gotta pause again. Just another thing I wanted to point out, and maybe you were going to. There's no reason for her to be sitting on the porch. She should be in a car.
Yeah.
Now, I almost wonder if because it was the two of them, they thought, well, maybe we need to all kind of stay together and wait for the cavalry. That could be part of it. But, if we're detaining her because she's causing a disturbance, why are we allowing her to cause a disturbance?
Yeah, I think it was more they just wanted to be together and wait for that third officer. That
could be.
That was their thinking at the moment, and it's a coin toss. It's it's not the end of the world.
Something to think about, at least.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here in handcuffs because I told them their job. These motherfuckers know the law. They know better. I shouldn't have to tell them that. And then they put me in handcuffs because I told them right from motherfucking wrong. Like, I shouldn't even have to say that to y'all.
Listen, you got it.
Is y'all body cameras on?
Listen, no, what they said was
That's all I really need to know right now.
sweep to make sure ain't no humans in the
Mario, we don't even gotta say nothing else. As long as you know, step out of Mario. Tell me to step out of your house.
Go look at I'm watching. Go look at my
Mario. They don't have the right.
Can you put her in your
Mario? Yep. Mario, because you see they trying to take me to jail because they Mario, they can't get into your house. No,
It was only like a minute or two. And I love how dude's even telling his sister, he's like, they're just making sure there's no other people in the house, sis. Calm down.
the reason they're in there is because you told them to go in the bathroom. I swear to God, Mario, if you tell them to get out the house, they can't.
After a brief search of the home, an officer discovered the stolen backpack in the bathroom.
Go in there. They're taking me to jail.
Stop resisting. Stop. Stop.
Backpack's in the bathroom. Okay.
So what's in the bathroom?
He's trying to stop me.
It's like a detective showed up in plain clothes. Yelling.
Yeah, I
Did
think
you see
so.
that? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
And I find it really interesting that the kid kept saying, just check the backpack and then get out of there. Or check the bathroom and get out. And they found the backpack in the bathroom where he told the officers to go. It would have been a lot better if he just said, yeah, I've got the backpack. Here it is. Could have saved him and his sister a lot of trouble.
Stay back. I'm just recording. Stay back. I'm about to get back. Spread your feet.
I'm just yelling, dude. I'm just yelling.
I'm just up here.
If you're going to interfere with an investigation, you're
I'm
not
not
going to
interfering.
identify
That's
yourself.
the thing. I'm just
Yes, you
recording.
are.
I'm
You're detracting
recording.
from our ability to conduct this
No,
investigation.
he has mental problems. I'm trying to let.
Let's skip ahead a bit.
Told y'all not to go in
Well,
his
that
house.
was
We have a right to
important part,
freeze the
though,
scene. We're
I
not.
think.
What was?
Did you hear him say he has mental problems?
Oh, God. The guy at the car?
I have the right to talk.
Hold on. I'm not saying they could be full of shit, but they're saying that the guy at the house has mental problems, and that's the way they were checking up on him. I'm just saying that could be an issue in court as far as culpability and stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Sit down, please.
Y'all put me in handcuffs because y'all don't want me telling my brother that y'all don't have the right to go into his house without a search warrant. But what am I being arrested for? What am I being?
Resisting.
Why am I in the handcuffs? Why am I in handcuffs?
Because you're not listening.
Because I'm yelling. I don't have to listen to y'all.
Yes,
I'm a
you
grown
did.
woman. I can yell if I want to. Y'all weren't listening when my brother said not to go in this house for a. I don't even know.
We're writing a search warrant.
My brother told y'all not to go in his house.
We have a right to freeze the scene. We're not searching.
That's fine.
So we're writing a search warrant.
Y'all gotta tell me what I'm in handcuffs for.
You're in handcuffs because you're not listening and you're arrested for resisting.
Y'all wasn't trying to.
That's actually not true. Did you hear what he said?
He said that you're in handcuffs because you're I couldn't hear exactly what he said. The resisting things. Or...
Yeah, he said you're being arrested for resisting.
Yeah.
You can't arrest somebody for resisting.
Just a pro tip, and it took me a while to learn this, and I'm not shitting on this guy, but there is nothing in that circumstance you're going to do or say to calm her down.
Yeah.
Close the door, walk away, let her scream in the car.
Yeah, it's just
don't argue
human
with her.
nature.
It's human nature, right? But you give her a second to cool off or blow off some steam or whatever.
Yeah.
You never win those shouting matches going back and forth. And I want to go back real quick to my mental health thing. If she would have walked up to the cops and said, hey, this is my little brother. He has mental health issues in the beginning of the call, maybe things would have went a lot different than going nuts. I'm just saying.
It would have been different for her, but they probably still would have.
Yeah, maybe.
Been persistent.
It would have been a little different, right?
Yeah. And one thing I will say about this entire call is that these guys were being very persistent, trying to help the guy who called and get his property back. This is way more effort, I hate to say it, than generally I'm going to put into this kind of call. So good on them. Like this is important for this guy to get his property back.
Yeah.
Plus where I am, there's no fucking way a judge is going to sign a search warrant for me to get into a house for this, based on the odor of marijuana. It's not happening. Like, no, not for a misdemeanor property theft. But this, I think, when it gets to the end, these are some felonies that they get charged with.
Yeah.
But
You'll be fine. I drive by and these motherfuckers searching my brother's garbage can. I pull in. It's my car.
Not finishing it up.
Showed up here. Okay. The air tag was popping in. All right. Open the door. Smells like weed. Okay. That gives me the right, by law, to secure the residence for the application of a search warrant, which I will be doing. Okay. That means I can go inside, secure you and any persons that would be in there. The residence is secure. Okay. In that cursory protective sweep, we located our backpack back there. You said it wasn't there. Okay. Obviously, that's an issue we will address when we get to it. Okay. Obviously, you've probably been doing some things that you're not supposed to be doing. Okay. Part of how we can approach this type of issue now is I can absolutely continue to proceed and apply for that search warrant. And if the judge approves it, I'm going to search this residence. The alternative to that is, with your consent, I can also search this residence. Obviously, we know we're going to find a backpack. That's mainly what we're here for, and probably could have avoided it if you would have just turned that over to begin with. But now we've gone obviously a little bit too far. Is that your sister there? That got a little bit too vocal about things, even though we were 100% within our right. With that being said, I'm going to ask you, will you give us consent to search your building here?
I don't care if you guys search it, just please do not mess.
We're not going to help with it. Is there any weed in there that we need to be concerned about?
I have bags of clothes. I need to do laundry.
Okay. I'm not concerned about laundry or anything like that, but you give us consent to search your residence here.
Actually, I don't, because a responsible person, I would rather wait until we get word from the judge. You know
That's
what I
fine.
mean?
That's fine. At this point, I'm going to place you under arrest for theft at this point.
that's interesting. You really want to address that?
I do. All
right.
Free, you need to have a Snickers, okay? You need to have a Snickers. Do you think that this hasn't been a court issue or that these dogs haven't been certified and this hasn't been tested over years and years and years. And they're just like, hey, guess what? Our dogs smell marijuana. That's marijuana. There's a vetting process. Don't have weed in your car, dude. Come on.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of funny too, because like people talk about with like speeding tickets and stuff. They're like, oh, make sure that their radar is certified, or whatever the fucking radar testing process is. It's like, yes, the officers know this that are running the radar, that they calibrate their freaking shit. It's like you're not gonna say something on the internet that hasn't already been addressed and taken care of.
Yeah. This
is a pretty fair question. If the search warrant is for weed, can they legally find the property of the dude? I think that you could write the search warrant in a way that says that you're looking for both things. That's it. You can just say, hey, we arrived at the house due to GPS ping, blah blah blah, and then we also smelled weed. We would like to search the property for both of these things. We have probable cause to believe that they're in there. I think a judge would sign that. And I'm trying to think.
I don't argue.
Well, no, I don't know if Saul's probably not still watching, but correct me if I'm wrong. But if you go into, like, let's say there is a shooting in a house. You respond to the shooting. You kick in the door, you get in the house, whoever you got in the house, you had to get into that house. There's a guy on the ground, he's shot, but he's going to be fine. While you're doing that, you look around and there's scales and there's baggies and there's a freaking brick of cocaine sitting there. You still have to clear the residence and then file for a search warrant to go and collect that evidence. I don't write search warrants.
I don't think you're legally there for a legally justified reason. I think you can seize that right there. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I thought you were done.
No, but and Saul is in the chat, but it's my understanding, and maybe this is just a what my department does to be on the safe side, but like you're in there for a legally justified reason. You find elements of a crime. It's best to go ahead and get a warrant before you collect that evidence. So they were in the apartment for a legally justified reason, which was clearing it to hold it for a search warrant. While doing that, out in plain sight, they saw evidence of further crimes, so they could add that to their search warrant. That was kind of where I was going on that.
Okay. Well, and I was going to say that if they did the search warrant for weed, and I'm not saying this is right, but weed is small and could be anywhere kind of thing, you have a pretty good chance of finding the backpack.
Yeah. Well, and you can search anywhere that you might find marijuana.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
When you find other things during that search, if they're criminal in nature, you're good to go with those. Yeah. It's similar to if you're searching a house for a person. A person has an arrest warrant and their address is 123 on X Street. You can go into that house and you can search anywhere that you might find a person. You can search the closets. You can search under the bed. If you find a bunch of drugs under a bed, you get those because you were searching that area for a good reason. If you open a drawer and you find a gun, you can't necessarily take that under that circumstance. That makes sense. But if you're looking for weed, weed could be anywhere. You can open up the drawers in that case, and whatever you find in that search would be good. See.
This is a good point that some courts
he fixed it.
That dogs can't, and it's not good enough. And I'm sure that's the case. And I think this is an excellent example. The rules for criminals have never changed. The rules for policing, it's always changing, and courts are deciding stuff that you may not learn about until you get it suppressed. And every single day there's court rulings that can affect cops every single day. And I don't want to say it's impossible to keep up with it, but the goalposts are always moving and it makes it more complex and honestly sometimes impossible. And I get it. We want to protect people's civil liberties and their rights and stuff, but it's interesting, man. Sometimes the courts will say one thing's cool, some things are other cool, and we all have our different interpretations of what the Constitution is. Makes it difficult when we have 365 million people with different ideas on how to interpret that document.
And just like I said earlier, there was a case that went through 2 other courts and then made it to the Ohio Supreme Court, and the Ohio Supreme Court disagreed with both of the lower courts. So it had already been in front of a whole bunch of lawyers and a whole bunch of judges. So it's dicey. You have to be able to think critically, and hope that you're not wrong. But Saul did answer. He said
no.
He said we're both right. Yeah, if you're in a place that you're legally allowed to be and it's in plain view, you can take it without a warrant. But then he said a warrant is always safer.
And you should. And I'm not saying let's just take that brick. I mean, you should just get a warrant just so you don't get it tossed. But I'm saying you probably could.
Yeah, but safer is always better.
Yeah, safer is always better.
It's a condom joke, I think. So this I think was interesting, and they'll go through all of the crimes here in a minute. But he said, while we were doing a protective sweep of your house, we found the backpack that we were looking for. We're going to get a warrant to search your house. We're going to get that backpack. Can we have consent to search your house? Some people might think that the officers are, what's the word I'm looking for? Using unfair coercion to get him to allow them to search their house, that his consent is forced consent. That's not true at all. That is something that is 100% legal. You can threaten to get a warrant to search a house as long as you know that you can justifiably get a warrant to search that house. Something that we do all the time to convince people to give us consent to search.
I wouldn't do that.
Well, no, but it's something that you're legally allowed to do.
But I mean, I think that definitely is on the boundary of coercion kind of thing.
I know, but it's legal coercion. It's like in the law. It's okay.
I don't know. I've never heard of something like that.
No.
I see the way they're talking to this guy, and I probably wouldn't go about it that way. Just on the the same thing with the warrant. Be safe. I would be careful with my words, because that's another thing that can get your case tossed is coercion. Because if he gives consent and we go to court on it, he can say well, I mean, they said they were going to get it anyway, and I don't know, and I just felt like I had to say yes, kind of thing. Even though we can just say it's bullshit, right? But the courts operate a lot differently than I guess normal human beings operate. It's very kind of black and white.
Yeah.
So I would be careful with that type of language.
Well, it's literally what we're trained to do.
I'm just
because if you
different states, I'm just telling you I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, because as if it's a situation where you are justified to get a warrant, you know that you can tell the person that, hey, look, I'm going to get a warrant. I'm going to get in your house regardless. You can either give me consent now, or we can keep you out here in handcuffs, and you can wait on the warrant. What do you want? And
but you don't know if you're going to get the warrant, though. The judge has to sign it. That's why I'm saying it's
well, if you have the probable cause to get a warrant, you can make that threat.
You think you have probable cause to have a warrant?
I'm
just saying.
I'm just saying that you're legally covered from liability in that instance.
Ohio, man.
Yeah, maybe it's an Ohio thing. I don't know, but he does what he is allowed to do. Right? He refuses to give them consent, and then at that point, the officer goes ahead and arrests him for theft. I think that, at least where I am, if you don't observe somebody stealing something, but you observe them with stolen property, that is receiving stolen property. It's not theft. You can't prove that they stole it. You can prove that they have it, and then you know it's stolen.
It may be under, I know specifically in Iowa, everything is under the theft statute. Everything. And so that might be why it's charged theft, is because theft by receiving or whatever could be just within the theft statute.
It's like A, B, C, or D.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. I've seen that. I think Colorado was getting that way too.
Okay.
Right now, I'll be applying for that search warrant. If the judge approves it, I'll be searching.
But at this point, have they received the backpack?
I need to breathe.
No, it's still in the house.
Hey, can you please crack the door?
Can you listen?
Did you have something else?
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just being ticky-tack, but I would maybe I would wait to hook them until you have the backpack and you have the warrant and stuff. You know, on the off chance that the judge says, no, you don't got to fuck. We're not doing a warrant.
Yeah.
And then you have this guy hooked and you don't even have the fucking backpack.
You can always take the cuffs off and dust them off. Hey, Roy, have a good night. Thanks for coming. Why are you getting up at 3:30 in the morning? What day is tomorrow?
He's a busy
Friday?
man.
He is. I know he likes to get up early, but good Lord. That's early, Roy. He has a YouTube channel, Roy Jones on Wheels. He hasn't been putting anything on it for the last year or so, but he used to do like a day in the life type stuff. He has cerebral palsy, I believe. He's in a wheelchair. He's a good guy, really good guy.
Thanks, Roy.
Yeah. He lives on my patrol district. So anyway, good night, Roy. Let's see. Someone asked the question. I wanted to give you a chance to laugh at this first.
Well, young Padawan, only if they are legally obligated to. But if you're found acting without your out of the scope of your employment and you're not covered, no, they don't have to. So.
Yeah. The city is out to protect themselves, because if you do the wrong thing, 9.99% of the time, not percent, 9.99 times out of 10, it's the city that's liable for your actions. So they're going to protect themselves. If it goes to a point where you lose qualified immunity and that you're actually on the hook financially for your actions, you're on the hook for your actions. The city's not going to do anything about that. But
although they're going to try and go after the city, though, because people know the cops don't have any money.
Yeah, I mean, the city always gets sued first. and that's the thing about qualified immunity too, that a lot of people don't understand, is that the city also has qualified immunity. When they ask for a lawsuit to be dismissed under QI, qualified immunity, it's protecting the city from having to pay out frivolous lawsuits. That's the biggest benefactor of qualified immunity, is going to be the jurisdiction, not the individual officers. But when you lose qualified immunity, then everybody is liable. That's kind of the end of it, right? So that's the reason that it's argued all the time. And I don't know. This is as much of that discussion as I want to have today. We're close.
Well,
for real.
That's what she said.
I'm gonna roll the window down.
Why?
She just wants some air, which is fine.
She starts screaming and goes back up. What's your last name?
Can I get somebody else? I don't even like your attitude.
You want
Because
to
at the end of the day, that's kind of
No, you're going to talk to me right now. What's your last name?
Why is he talking to me
Because
like
I'm tired of you guys not listening when I give you orders.
You guys, man, what do you mean by you guys?
You and your sister. I'm going to help you.
This guy is doing everything in the world to be a pain in the ass. Here he's like, you guys, what do you mean by you guys? I mean,
what do you mean, you people?
Yeah, I mean, you guys, like you two motherfuckers that are causing a problem.
Let me just. Yeah, you can handle it. Jesus Christ. Car reeks of weed. We're going to let him leave.
Due to the strong smell, they found it suitable to be searched too.
That dude is a piece of shit. My son, dude. If I ever catch this out here and he comes at me like that again, and I have my gun permit, oh my God, dude, I swear to God, anything I'm in the rights to do is gonna happen. I don't want to yell. I never wanted to yell. I just wanted someone to listen to me talk. As soon as I start raising my voice and yelling, they're like grabbing me up, putting me in handcuffs, roughing me around. It's like no reason to do that just because I'm yelling. No reason to do that. When if y'all would just calm down for a second and just listen to me and answer the one little basic question that I had, which is what is going on, then
They did answer her very basic question that she had.
They did.
And they were very nice about it.
none of this would have happened. There was just straight up no reason to do me like that. I tried so hard to be a good person. I do my best. I swear to God, dude, I stay sharing posts on Facebook about the officers in this city do good. I don't even share bad about the police, bro. I swear to God I don't, dude. I swear to God I never do no like that. But bro, I swear I can't do this no more because what the dude, I don't deserve to be treated like this, dude. I'm involved in the community and everything, bro. I donate. I do everything I can for this city, bro. And I steady getting treated like bro. I don't give a what the family done did. I'm just asking to be treated like a human, bro. Like what the I do to be pushed up against like.
All right. So I'm just trying to organize this as best as I can for you. So a large majority of the property from your backpack was just located on Cleveland. It'll be back at the police department at some point today.
No way. What do you mean like a large majority?
The paper, some paperwork, some.
Is it like, wait, so like, okay.
I wasn't given the.
Is it scattered or is it like still in the actual?
It sounds like a majority of it was scattered. But hear me out. There's another side to this. So while checking the residence to make sure nobody else was in there, you found your backpack. So
I just came here last night. Okay, so this is my clothes. This is my bag, and we left it. We got home around.
Yeah.
What time did we get home last night?
11 or 12.
11 or 12 from Eau Claire, Wisconsin. I left my bag. We're like, okay, the baby wasn't sleeping. We're gonna go inside. I'll come back and get this in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what happened? We got to go get coffee, and the bag's gone. So we're like, shoot. I was like, okay, well, I'm backpack, anything like this has an air tag. This has an air tag. This can't have an air tag.
Understand that, but sure.
Yeah, so no matter what, I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna put this one. It pops up here, and I'm like, dude, like if you just give it back to me, I won't push charges. But if you don't, and they find something, I have to push charges.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, absolutely, you can. In terms of the property, so we're currently applying for a search warrant for the house, so we have to wait for that to get your bag. So, the property that Officer Butchkowski found will be brought up to the PD. We're working on helping you get out of here. It's just there's a lot of moving parts going on right now, and it's gonna take a few more minutes. Okay?
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I don't be here all day. It's okay.
All right. Thank you.
The whole time I was just trying to get a question and point across.
Okay, well, I've explained to you what I can.
Oh.
Can I address Mike's comment here about
You do whatever you want.
it's so Wisconsin to be wearing a flannel and shorts. I'm gonna do this.
Oh no, here it comes.
I'm wearing a flannel and shorts. Just saying. It's not a Wisconsin thing. It's like a northern Midwest thing. Are you wearing shorts, Lenny?
No, I'm too fat.
I just don't like pants. I hate pants.
I'm usually, honestly, a short guy. It snowed a little bit today, so I took the kids out to Family Dollar because that's what they wanted to do. So I put pants on, but only because they were still on the ground. Honestly, like I don't care how cold it is. Shorts and Crocs, I don't give a shit. But snow, I don't want my little feetsies to get cold. You know.
I don't wear Crocs. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Be a man. Wear Crocs.
I wear slides without socks. Is that okay?
I'm not here to judge, man.
All
It's
right.
2022.
And I gotta wear my shorts to show off my quads, man.
You and your fucking quads. Give your balls a tug.
Okay, I know your job is done with. It's not your job to be nice to me anymore. Have a good day. I know you don't give a.
That's not what I'm saying.
There's no reason. No, I know you don't give a. Like, this is crazy because y'all don't understand. Like, there's no single reason why these cuffs should be on me. Swear to God, this is people kill themselves about. I try so hard for nothing.
Okay.
Please leave my car right here. You're weird, you weirdo. Piece of shit. I hope your motherfucking wife gets raped or she's getting dicked down by a real and not you piece of shit bitch. These motherfuckers don't even know they going to fucking hell.
You got two gloves? Yeah. I'll go step to do the search here. I got some.
No! He's not supposed to be in my car!
What's that?
Real quick, and it's not even about her, and I think we skipped past it, and it just hit me. There was a point in the video where the guy sitting in the car was being an asshole. The other officer stepped in.
Yeah.
That's a good fucking partner right there, man.
It was a good move. Although,
that's a good fucking partner right there. I wanted to make sure that guy got credit.
Yeah.
So continue with the screaming. I just wanted to make sure that got out there.
Yeah, because it was one of those things where I'm like 50-50 because I don't think the officer who was talking to the subject was being a dick. The guy in the car was being a dick, and he's like, "Can I get another officer?" And then the other guy stepped in and was like, "Hey, just get out of here. I'll take care of it." That was the right thing to do for that officer. It was good on him. But there's part of me that's like, no, I'm not going to let this motherfucker win. Not that. If I'm like losing my shit and you need to step in and like remove me from a situation, I'm all about it. That one, I'm just like, okay, it's the right thing to do, but I don't like it. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
it does. I hear what you're saying, but I don't know. We can't chalk up our wins and losses that
I
way.
know,
You know
but
what I mean? It ain't worth it.
It's the right thing, but I don't have to like it. It's the right thing to do. I don't like it.
Okay.
I don't have to like it. You know what I mean? That's my like stubbornness. Yeah, so we'll let her scream for another minute. She's flexible.
That is impressive.
Ain't nobody supposed to be in my car. Okay, well, my son needs to be somewhere safe and get driven home safely.
He will.
Not by a police officer, because y'all motherfuckers can't be trusted.
Okay, I'm sorry you feel that way.
Yeah, I'm sorry you feel that way. I feel that way because how you just hammered me up against a car like I was really doing something other than yelling. Last name Price. I'm going to remember that, and that's on my son.
Are you threatening me?
It's not a threat at all. So don't wonder weird like that. No one ever threatened you, ever.
I'm just making sure you understand that threatening a police officer is a felony, and I will charge it.
Like I said, I did not threaten you. Never would. I'm not stupid. I don't threaten anybody. Just in case anything happens to me, I need to know your last name.
Yep, there's 3 cameras on you right now.
That's fine, Mr. Price.
I love these when there's threats and then there's legal threats. Her like bullshit about like, in case something happens to me, I need to know your last name and all the other stuff.
Like it's not on the paperwork.
Yeah, and it's like that's like she's trying to threaten and intimidate him, which is just fucking dumb. That perfect. You got it highlighted.
I have a great story about that.
They're gonna charge her with, we call it menacing. I can't remember what they called it, like threatening a cop. The threats that she's making there wouldn't fly here.
Oh no, I thought the same thing. Is that there's no way. Like she said, she hoped that happened. She didn't say I was going to do it. She caught herself earlier when she's saying like if she had a gun and if she was within her rights to do something.
Yeah, very careful.
Remembering his name, that wouldn't fly a lot of places.
She's been through the BLM school of how to talk in front of cops.
I bet she had a scholarship too.
Probably. What was your story about the whole rape thing?
So I was a young lad, and I've told it on the podcast and shit. I may have told it on the live stream, but we're here. I was a young lad, and it was some kind of family dispute, and like dad and son were beating each other up, and it wasn't a child abuse issue because the kid was old enough. And dad wanted me to like take the kid out of the house and do something. And I didn't have enough to really charge the kid because I didn't have any independent witnesses. And it was just one of those like toss up cases. And because I didn't do what he liked, as I was walking away, he said, I hope that your wife and children get raped and murdered. I was a young guy and didn't have the same cool as I used to. So I turned back towards the house and removed my baton and started walking towards the house, and somebody caught me. Said, hey, no, we're not doing this. No, we're not doing this. That was the right call. It doesn't feel good to be told those things for sure, but you got to be above it.
I've never had somebody that made those kind of statements towards me that it affected me in any kind of way. That situation and usually too, it's because there's so much chaos going on. Yeah, it's really easy for me to ignore it. I don't know. I usually laugh at them, but I do.
Well, I was new, like pretty new, like right out of FTO, and that was the first time. And I'm not justifying it. I was clearly wrong for even having such terrible thoughts, but
such terrible thoughts.
In Billy Madison, is that O'Doyle? That's in Billy Madison where they throw the banana peel, he crashes. I bet something really bad happened to him at some point. Karma's a bitch.
Oh, you think something bad happened to him after that or before that?
After. Yeah. Karma will get him. Yeah.
Or he'll just continue to do that and beat his wife and kids for all of eternity.
Maybe.
Perhaps. I'm trying to find it. You reminded me of it. I have an Instagram post where some guy said that he was going to come up to Columbus and rape my wife and daughter. And I screenshotted it and I posted it on Instagram. The reason I'm looking for it, damn it. How can I not find this thing? Come on. Well, the reason I'm looking for it is because I recently had to go and talk to city investigators about my Instagram account because they found some of my posts problematic. They were all ridiculous. The accusations against me were hilarious, to say the least. And one of them was this post where some guy sent me a message that said he's going to come up to my town. He's going to rape my wife and children. So I screenshotted it and I put a caption at the top that said, I wonder how many times this guy's been arrested for domestic violence and like something else like that. And the city investigator that called me in and wanted me to explain myself accused me of divulging investigative information that is not public knowledge. and I had to look him dead in the eye, and I was like, that guy sent me a message on social media and threatened to fucking rape my wife, and you're investigating me for that.
Unreal, man.
Fucking incredible.
Yeah.
But anyway, I wish I could have found the post because I was going to show it on here. The guy did look like he lives in a trailer park and beats every woman he's ever come in contact with. But anyway, let me go back to this. Here we go.
Price all this because I asked the
It's almost
officer why they're going through my brother's trash and that they don't have the right to go into my brother's house without a search warrant. Like, that's just
they do.
Basic, like,
With
knowledge.
what,
Everybody
okay,
knows
listen,
that.
listen.
So there's no reason to rough me up about that.
Can I explain it to you?
I'm really fighting y'all. Like, y'all motherfuckers could have choked me, killed me, and I would have never resisted.
Okay.
Okay.
Nothing even close to that happened.
Whatever. What happened was y'all wanted to sit here and press as many charges as y'all can against everybody that's here to put everybody in jail and make us miserable because y'all mad that I know the law a little bit.
I'm done trying to explain it to you.
You ain't never tried to explain anything to me. When I came up here in the first place, I was asking for someone to explain something to me, and it never got done.
Can I explain?
And then I got
keep
thrown
talking
onto the ground and because I said you need a search warrant to go into my brother's house. Well,
ground.
first of all, maybe if someone would have explained something to me, I would be a little more understanding as to why you're going into his house. But no one ever decided to explain something to me because according to the officers that were here in the first place, I don't live here, so it's not my business.
I mean, that is true.
Oh, well, I mean, people who don't live here, have never been here, who's not related to anybody on this property.
You should pause it for just a second there, Ben. Here you are trashing the people that live in trailer parks. I lived at a trailer park, and it was one of my favorite places I ever lived. How dare you? Allie, I'm offended too. I think Brent's offended too. How dare you lump us in with that fucking Martian? Leave trailer park people alone. We're not all the same.
Well, Allie and Brent and Lenny, tell me about your neighbors. Were they all spectacular people?
Are you just making assumptions? There's some nice trailer parks.
I'm just asking. You know what?
Nice
there actually are some nice trailer parks. I will give you that. But you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying, but you've offended some people here. And I expect a lukewarm apology.
Allie, Brent, and Lenny, from the bottom of my heart, I want to offer you my most sincere apology for any offense that I might have caused you or any offense that I might cause in the future.
You should have done the Conor McGregor thing.
Did he say like fuck you or something like that?
No, it was a long time ago. He's like, to all my haters, I just want to say I don't give a fuck or whatever. I don't remember. It was a while ago.
No, it's funny. Everybody knows it's all in good fun. So, see, Officer Banner, you kept in mind that were the last 50 parks in Florida was, geez, man, I'm getting hammered on the trailer park comments now. It's hilarious.
Oh, my white trash brethren in attack Ben.
Why did it have to be white? Huh?
Let's be honest here.
You know what's funny? Even though I called that guy like a trailer park guy, whatever, up where I live, the most of the trailer parks are inhabited by Mexicans or people from South America, Hispanics. And it's really funny because we were telling stories about it the other day. There's this one trailer park just up off of this one road, and when I worked on third shift, there was this one fucking guy that would call like every Friday night and complain about the noise. He was like, and I'm like, dude, you live in a freaking trailer park. Your neighbors are all Mexicans. It's Friday night. They just got done working 70 hours a week. They're going to have a party. You know, every Friday night you drive through the trailer park and it's like mariachi music and freaking grills going, not girls. You know, grills were going, music was going, beer was flowing. The trailer parks were a good time on Friday nights, unless you're that one white guy that was pissed off because he didn't like all the mariachi music. So,
I gotta be honest, man. Hispanic folks, they fucking know how to party, man. They blow the white people out of the water, dude. I always loved going to those calls because they were so awesome and they were giving you food and shit. It's like, yeah, just turn it down a little bit, all right? This is a little bit. We'll be all right.
I did unplug the sound system of one once, and I almost got beat to death. But in my defense, I was being very polite, and I kept asking everybody, like, hey, turn down the music, and everyone was just looking at me like, not my house. So finally I was just like, ding. It wasn't in a trailer park though. The trailer park music, I let that stuff go. And I told the guy to stop calling. That particular guy, this is like the bureaucracy of working for like a large department or just working for government in general. I once had to drive up to this guy's trailer and hand deliver him the phone number to animal control because he was out walking his dog and one of his neighbor's dogs got loose and bit his dog. So he called the police and they had a run written to go out to his house. And I go up on the back channel, I'm talking to radio, and I was like, hey, this is not a police problem. This is an animal control problem. Can you just call and give him the number? And they're like, no, once a run is written, we have to dispatch officers. So they refused to call him back and give him the phone number and cancel the run. So I literally wrote the phone number to animal control down. I went up to his trailer. He opened the door and I handed it to him and I said, call them, and turned around and walked away. It was the same white guy that always called and complained about the music.
Why do you hate white people?
I do hate white people.
I hate everyone.
I don't hate everyone.
I do. Not you guys, though. Some of you.
It's funny.
Looking at you, free thinker. Just kidding. You're a good sport.
He is. We had an interesting conversation this week. Maybe we'll get to it in a moment.
No problem.
Oh, have you ever had cruisers like this where it's divided in the back?
Yeah, it's a new thing. It's fucking cool.
I think it's kind of cool because you could put some of your own stuff back there.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about the other day, we only put one person in the back of the car anyway. Like you pretty much never put two, unless it's like kids or something like that.
Problem. Like this is irritating. Sitting here going through everything in my car. Like y'all clearly want to find something.
It reeks of marijuana.
Because what the would you? Why would it not?
Why would it not?
That was awesome. And I also appreciate this call reminds me of what policing was like when I first started. You know, like you show up, you work really hard to find a way into the place, you get a search warrant. Not only that, but you arrest the woman that came up and was being mouthy, and then you arrest the guy that parks there because his car smells like weed and tow his shit. Like that's the stuff that we used to do back in like 2012, 2013.
It was
like,
fun.
Yeah. Before Michael Brown, we used to do stuff like this.
I don't smoke in my house. And if it reeks of marijuana, what exactly are y'all looking for? 300 pounds of weed or what? Because the way y'all searching this is like y'all looking for an El Chapo stash.
It's still illegal.
Checking my paint. I cannot wait to tell my clients about this.
Actually, I am going to be charging you with threatening because you threatened my wife earlier.
Doing what?
Just letting you know I am going to at least recommend charges for threatening because you did threaten my family.
Who did I threaten? Who did I threaten?
My family.
I never threatened your family.
You said you hope my wife gets raped, so.
I hope and saying did I ever say I will or someone was gonna do it? Like no. Hoping is one whole other fucking thing.
Well, it's still
wishing and praying and hoping is not the same as doing something or promising.
They say the charge at the end of the video. I was going to look it up when it comes up.
Yeah, I think he does.
To read through the statute because I'd be super curious.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, where I worked, that would not fly. That was a cost of doing business as a cop.
Yeah, and I would be very reluctant to charge her, be that petty and charge her in this instance, because she's the type of person that is most likely to file a lawsuit. And I don't know, this, like, saying I hope your wife gets raped sounds like First Amendment to me.
Yeah, I would agree. But we'd
So,
have to
yeah.
see how that statute's written if we can find it.
Promising or threatening you.
Okay.
That is not the same thing. Like I said, y'all just sitting here trying to charge people
I
with
am
just
with
about
that one because
everything
I'm
and
thinking
anything
about
y'all
it.
can.
And I think that's fair.
No, it's really not fair. The fact that I pulled over and asked the officers what's going on, and instead of simply telling me what's going on, y'all sit here and wait for me to lose my temper and start yelling, for y'all to handcuff me and push me around and roughhouse me like I'm some type of threatening boy. Y'all want me to leave here and be upset so that y'all can come back and arrest me for some other type of bullshit. Just so you know, that's not gonna happen. I'm currently getting my life together so I can have lawyers and attorneys to people up in court.
Remember, she's only 22 years old.
I'm getting my life together not to make a better life for my child or a better life for myself, so I can hire lawyers for when I get in trouble for doing dumb shit. America.
That's hilarious. And Jeannie, it's good to see you in the chat tonight.
Like you, who like take advantage of people like me. Like if y'all don't want, black people in this community, just say that.
This has nothing to do with your race.
Stop treating people like for no reason. And if that doesn't have anything to do with it, then why was people treating me like to begin with?
Hi there, Officer Price, Wausau Police with one female. Can you send people down too?
Yeah, send people down because I'm such a threat. My mouth is so scary. My lips are just gonna hop off my face and start beating people
She
up.
is funny, though. I mean, and at least she is fucking funny.
No, she is. And I don't think I need to explain that to the people here, but I noticed it on the Keenan Anderson video. A lot of people were commenting, why does it take that many officers to handle one guy? Well, he was hopped up on cocaine, so he had superhuman strength. But this officer asking for more officers to meet him down the Sally part with this female, there's a ton of reasons why you'd want more officers there. One, if she were to try to do something dumb and she's in handcuffs and you plant her on the ground and her face explodes, because that's what happens in these situations, and you're all by yourself, you have a lot of explaining to do. Also, if you're by yourself with a female who's acting this way, accusations start to get thrown around. It's better to have some witnesses around. It's just a lot safer to have more people around. It's not because you're scared. It's not because you can't handle this one tiny little female whose lips are about to explode off of her face and do something to you. Just a thing, right?
Yep, agreed.
Yeah.
Hey Trisha, my name is Lori. I'm one of the officers upstairs. You gonna be decent with me if we go up?
I'm fine.
You're good? Okay.
Yes, I was never a threat.
Okay, all right. Well, you're gonna be in my custody now. I'm gonna take you upstairs. We're gonna be good to go? All right. Appreciate it.
Look how her attitude totally changed, too.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's when the realization hit. So
Yeah.
Here's the charges.
Mario was charged with felony, receiving stolen property greater than $5,000. Misdemeanor counts of receiving, concealing stolen property less than or equal to $2,500. And possession.
Okay, so receiving stolen property over $5,000.
They just said theft earlier, but...
What's that?
Because they said theft earlier, but they ended up charging him.
He misspoke, and then when they got down to headquarters and the detective wrote the charges, they wrote the right charge. But how is it more than $5,000? What the hell did he steal?
There was a shitload of purses, man.
I know, but you have to have victims for those purses. You only had one victim. Unless they found them with a credit
They might
card.
have found more. I mean, this video is clearly edited, though, and I'm sure they found more stuff in the house.
Well, and it's just like when I had a video, you're looking at 3 different officers' body cameras of an incident that probably took 3 to 4 hours, and it's a 25-minute video. So, but yeah, so felony RSP, misdemeanor RSP, and then possession of drug paraphernalia. It's all going to get pled down to the drug paraphernalia.
Possession of drug paraphernalia. Chertisha was charged with felony battery threat to a law enforcement.
There you go. Felony battery threat to a law enforcement officer. I don't know what the repeater means.
Officer and misdemeanor resisting, obstructing an officer.
Oh, they must have resisting and obstructing as like under the same code section.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting.
All as a repeater. Mario's cash bond was set at $1,000, and Chertisha's signature bond was set at $5,000. Head over to codebluecam.com.
Buy some Code Blue Cam merch. You know, I should buy some of his merch and wear it on stream because we use his videos so much.
Let's see. Oh, that was better. Sorry, it's going to take me a second to get through this.
Yeah. So everyone thinks that charge is because she was a repeat offender. I don't know if that's what that means.
Mario was charged with felony, receiving stolen property greater than $5,000. Misdemeanor counts of receiving, concealing stolen property less than or equal to $2,500. And possession of drug paraphernalia. Shartisha was charged with felony battery threat to a law enforcement.
Yeah, I don't know if what the repeater is. It might be multiple charges. Connor, I would.
Reading through this, I don't know. So here's what it says: whoever intentionally causes bodily harm or threatens to cause bodily harm to the person or family member of any judge, prosecutor, law enforcement falls under this thing. And so at the time of the act, the actor knows or should have known that they're a cop. The act is a response to any action taken by a judge or cop, blah, blah, blah.
Do you want to share your screen?
No.
Okay.
They take the Pornhub down. Yeah, I can. Hold on a second. Well, you gotta fucking figure out how to do this. This is beyond me.
It's down at the bottom, where it says like present, I think.
Oh, this is gonna get dangerous here.
I highlighted this, Connor. I would make my own merch if I had time. I don't have time to do what I do. I don't know. I think I've mentioned this before. I am so strapped on time. I burned a couple of vacation days last week and this week.
Can you guys see my screen now?
No. Let me stop sharing mine. You try to share yours now. But I burned a couple of vacation days last week and this week so that I could get ahead on my body camera videos. Tomorrow is my oldest daughter's birthday, so I plan on spending tomorrow and Saturday not doing any YouTube stuff. But I have to burn vacation time to do that. So if I want to do anything on top of this, I don't have time. That's the moral of the story. I don't know how merch store works. If I ever do, I'll probably throw it up on Lenny's merch store, to be honest.
Honestly, I could do that for you. I could probably do that.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out. Yeah. Yeah, I got to work on that. I might have to drop companies, but I can help you with that. All right. So it's, let me see here. I don't know what button to make it bigger. Is that it? Oh, no.
Oh, no.
There it is.
There you go.
There it is. Which I can't even fucking read it now because it's small on my screen. But I mean, that's basically all it is right there. But the big thing, what I see is causes bodily harm or threatens to cause bodily harm to that person. She didn't threaten to cause the harm. She said, I hope that happens to you.
Yeah.
I don't see that fitting within the statute unless there's another breakdown.
As a police officer, you should know better. Because it's just like we go on DV cases all the time where one party is like, oh, they threatened me. You know, he threatened to kill me. Okay, what did he say? He said, I hope you die or I hope you're dead in the morning. Like, that's not a threat. That's him saying he hopes you're dead. So,
yeah.
And the same thing works for police officers. So,
well, that was fun.
It was fun. We didn't get into case law as much as I thought we would, but I don't think it was necessary. I think we covered it.
Yeah, and I'll try to. I don't want this to be an empty promise, but I will try to kind of keep up on this case. Like, it hasn't really gotten too far into the legal system. This arrest was in November, so
yeah, it's going to be 6 to 9 months before anything happens.
Did you say 69 months?
Yeah, 69, baby.
Nice. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. I think for her, you know, she'll get the obstruction or whatever they charged her with. I think that's easy. His case will be really interesting to see what the courts do. Maybe we'll have to do a follow-up video to it if we haven't been canceled by then.
Man, that's going to take a lot of reminding and effort. I have to put something in my calendar to remind me something. Because that could take
There was, like,
years.
paper that we could write down on.
Because like the one case that I found that was just decided in April of 22, it was a 2018 case.
Yeah, I mean, it takes time.
Especially to go through
waiting
all
for
the
ball to
appeals.
drop for me to take a bunch of trips to Colorado to go testify on everything that happened 4 years ago.
Yeah. Which, I don't know, the court dockets are so far behind. Here's the guy. Said, I'm coming for you and your wifey too. It's going to be good times for me. Ha ha ha. So I said, he probably hates cops because we're always stopping him for beating his wife, who then refuses to go to court, causing him to think that he's beating those charges. In actuality, the only thing he's beating is his wife. I'm kind of proud of that.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. And I was accused of divulging secret investigative material by posting this on Facebook. So Jason Chamberlain. I'm told that he lives somewhere in southern Ohio. Yeah. One of my Instagram followers actually knows him. He sent me a message. He's like, yeah, that guy is a piece of shit.
Well,
so
O'Doyle situation again, man. Bad thing will happen to him.
Oh yeah, something bad's gonna happen to him for sure. Especially if he ever showed up here. But anyway.
Hey Connor, I moved. Colorado is not a great place. I left. I moved to Iowa. Colorado is dead.
Iowa is heaven.
For me, yeah. You know what's funny is I live in a very rural community, and I've made a few friends throughout Iowa, which is a bigger state than I thought. And some guy's like, yeah, that area you're living in is kind of rough, isn't it? I'm like, if this is rough, what the hell is nice?
Oh, that's funny.
It's like there's no trash on the side of the road. There's no encampments. There's no crime. It's fucking great.
I need to get out of town. I'm working on it. But
You
then
should.
I've got some things working. I got to do some stuff to my house before I can put it on the market, but it's working. So anyway, I'm getting sleepy.
Old man.
I am an old man. And tomorrow is my oldest daughter's birthday.
Happy birthday, oldest daughter.
Yes. It's funny. She's like the most, it's not that she's emotional. It's just, she remembers sentimental. She's the most sentimental child like ever. And I worked third shift for years. My kids actually miss me working third shift a lot of the time. Cause they miss me coming home from work in the morning when they're getting ready for school and, just some stuff like that. Well, one of the things that she really misses is every year for her birthday, I would stop at a gas station and get some Hostess cupcakes. And I'd come home and I'd put a candle in it and I'd sing happy birthday to her in the morning before she left for school and before I went up to bed. So she convinced my wife to buy some Hostess cupcakes so that I could sing happy birthday tomorrow because it's my day off.
Well, that's very nice.
Yeah. And when she found out I was live streaming tonight, she goes, no, are you going to be up in the morning when I get up for school? So I have to be a good boy. That's why I've been drinking my whiskey very slowly tonight. So that I can actually sleep and not have a hangover in the morning so I can sing happy birthday to my 11-year-old daughter.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. And I have to bake her a cake. And she's not watching the stream, so I can say this, but the other reason I'm not going to do any YouTubing tomorrow, I wanted to get all of my editing and everything done, is because I'm actually going to go pick her up at school just before lunch and take her out to lunch and give her a half day off. So,
nice.
I'm excited. I don't know what I'm going to do. She likes to go to this ramen place where this is definitely not an Iowa thing, but maybe they had something like this in Colorado. But it's a ramen place that you go in, you scan a QR code on your phone, and then you order through your phone. And so you never talk to a human. And then a robot actually delivers your food to your table. I think that's what we're going to do for lunch tomorrow.
That's pretty intense for ramen. I just get mine from the grocery store. It costs 39 cents.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Huh.
It's fancy. And we always get these like little steamed buns. It's very exciting. So Allie had a question that you highlighted. You want to answer that now?
I don't want to answer that now because you need to go to sleep, but that could be a good upcoming live stream. Is not like necessarily my story totally, but we could cover why people are leaving and why, quote unquote, the job is dead. That could be some saltiness to that.
We can talk a little bit about Colorado.
Yeah.
It's a special place. I know someone that is they lost their mind because they left the state of Colorado, the state of California. They were a police officer in California and they left because it was so crazy. And they moved to Colorado to be a police officer in Colorado.
And it's becoming California.
Yeah, it's not just it's bad. I don't know. I call them crazy all the time.
Yeah, I had an argument with somebody today. They're like, Denver is not that bad of a large city. I'm like, you can't walk up and down the streets. There's trash and shit and piss everywhere.
People are just blind to it. They don't see it.
Yeah.
It's scary. I don't know. It is what it is.
Thank you.
Yes. I think that was our second super chat of the night. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's very special.
I will be eating ramen. So.
Are you tonight?
Maybe.
Alrighty. I think it's a good place to end it. We covered the entire video and it took 2 hours. That's about right.
We did pretty good. I thought it was going to take forever. So.
That's what she said.
Not to me. 30 seconds max.
No, she was like, that was okay, but I thought it was going to take forever. 30 seconds for her?
For me?
Oh.
For me? Who cares about her?
You're the only one that matters.
Yeah, female orgasm's a myth.
It is a myth. They don't exist. Anyway, on that note, now that we've successfully brought it down, thank you all for watching tonight and joining and participating in the chat. And especially thank you everybody that shared your financial well-being with us. We really appreciate that. For Lenny, I'm going to sign off. Good night, everybody. See you next week. I have to hit 2 buttons. It's awkward.